everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the internet's most hated mafia-themed podcast. I am the show's main host and frontman, the Reverend Godfather. And this week I wanted to bring you a three-part episode. The first part being something from the Chocolate Festival, which happened this past Saturday, my initial reactions to Avengers Endgame, and then Big Candy's reactions to Avengers Endgame, with us just kind of diving into random discussions and our atypical host-based nonsense that usually happens through Skype. But this past weekend at the Chocolate Festival, which did happen, and we did kind of quietly and peacefully crash the event, or at least we tried to. And we did have plans to kind of not just promote the show, but try to get a kind of John/Jane on the street conversations with people that were attending the show, but alas, plans do tend to fall through. And the reason why the plans did fall through is because nature. Where we were at this weekend, or say where I was at, I was set up and ready to go in regards to having our banner, having our flyers out, but the wind that was predominant through most of Saturday was within the 20 to 30 mile an hour range in a lot of cases, which meant our banner kept blowing over, our flyers, even though we were using, or I should say I was using clips to keep them together, were constantly flying off the table. And so therefore, any type of promotion, any type of interviews that we would have gotten, or discussions we would have gotten, was basically pointless. But I will say this, if you want to know more about what happened at the Chocolate Festival in regards to me kind of closing up shop, please stick around to our Skype conversation that me and Big Candy had, and the third part of the show, which is the biggest chunk of the show, because something did kind of happen that kind of tossed my anxiety through a loop and kind of pissed me off a little bit. So stick around, hear that at the end of the show. But as I said, I also could have gotten interviews from a lot of folks or some of the authors at the Chocolate Festival, but since me getting any type of press credentials from Martinsburg would never happen, because they'd rather kneel in front of the local newspaper and nuzzle up to them instead of allowing an independent person like myself any type of access or in regards to interviews or anything like that in any shape or form. So that's why when people approach us and ask why I consider our show the most hated podcast in the Berkeley County area, I have to tell them it's because the city doesn't like what we do. And not to mention, there's a few of the podcasting peers out there in the podcasting community that kind of doesn't like what we do as a geek podcast, because they think that we kind of should stick to pop culture all the time. And the fact of the matter that we tend to interview anybody that wishes to talk to us about our geekdom. And to kind of correlate with what I was talking about the Chocolate Festival is, we had one gentleman approach the table while the wind was kind of quiet for 15 seconds, and he inquired about the show in regards to why we are the most hated. And I said, well, if someone wanted to talk about knitting for 30 minutes, for the sake of argument, I would be more than happy to have that person on the show, especially if they really knew about knitting and in regards to the different type of needles used, the yarn, dyes, the history. If they knew all that information, I'd be more than happy to have them on the air and speak for 30 minutes or longer if they so felt that they wanted to. And that's why I have the word geek as a widespread title, and I don't really like to use it as the name of the show when we brought this show together. And he understood the logic in regards to why we call ourselves the Lone Coat Mafia Podcast, and a broad-based geek podcast, and whether or not this gentleman checks us out, who knows? So, we shall see. And that being said, I'm going to move off to this because we kind of covered the Chocolate Festival towards the tail end of the broadcast. I hope you do stick around for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out right now and let you hear I should say, my initial reaction to the Avengers Endgame, which hit theaters this past weekend, or I should say this past Friday officially, even though it hit some theaters on Thursday sometime. I know Berkeley County Theater here in Martinsburg, West Virginia, it got Avengers Endgame Thursday evening about 7 o'clock, and most of the country, it dropped at midnight, first thing Friday at 12:01 a.m. So here is my initial reaction to Avengers Endgame. Hello everyone, it is I, the Reverend Godfather, the show's main host and frontman. And if I didn't say anything during the whole Chocolate Festival aspect of the show, let me get a few things out of the way now. That is the fact that if I sound a little bit under the weather, it is quite possibly because I am. I don't know if it's because of allergies or the fact that I might be coming down with a spring cold. I don't know, but that's why it might seem like I'm not as energetic as I should normally be. And as I probably said in our Chocolate Festival part of the show, is that this is my initial review and thoughts on Avengers Endgame, because I saw it this past Thursday. I managed to finagle a few things, so I was able to see it this past Thursday. So whether or not how this review reaction falls in regards to other things, we shall see, and hopefully we have a couple of things added to the show that you enjoy. But to go on to the whole Avengers Endgame, I really enjoyed it. I know there's many people out there that saw the movie and just didn't like certain aspects of this. But before we continue with the whole Avengers Endgame thoughts and review, I'm going to say this. Mild spoilers, possibly. So, spoilers. So, that being said, I went into this after, I won't say watching any reviews. I didn't hear any reviews. I think one or two people might have spoiled it. I'm not going to drop names in regards to everything, but they just made it sound completely stupid, and that it was on, just how it came off, they made it seem like it was on the Last Jedi level of stupidity in writing. But I didn't see that, but I did enjoy it. But because, let me kind of go into depth in regards to that. I went into this thinking in regards to, or I should say my thoughts were almost in line with a lot of the folks that have been spewing rumors in regards to that this was a heavy Captain Marvel movie as well, because of how a lot of folks were leaking things out that this was going to be a hot and heavy Captain Marvel based thing, and it turns out they were wrong. I'm happy about that. I think overall, Captain Marvel was in this movie maybe about 15 minutes out of 3 hours, and that's 180 minutes. So that's not bad. Let me just say this: a lot of folks were saying that, oh, she's going to kill Thanos. Let me just say, I'm not going to say anything in regards to that. But the whole fact that she's involved with the final Thanos fight, but she does have a hand, but she's not what comes out as the quote-unquote strongest Avenger. She is probably one of the overpowered Avengers, but she's not the one that, does what in regards to a lot of folks are saying in regards to this. But the fact of the matter is, it was a very good movie. It had a lot of bright spots, and the pacing fluctuated a good part of the time. Again, it was one of those things that seemed it would move fast paced and action packed, and it would just almost grind to a slow crawl. But I want to say this because ADHD does happen with this show. It's been a regular thing for the past 3.5 plus years. One thing this movie does is hit you in the gut with a baseball bat right out the gate. Right out the gate. And there's the aspect of... There were a lot of aspects that were kind of the yes moment that you want to just go, yeah, act like a fan of... an old fan of Daniel Bryan. Just go, yes, 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 yes. And there were a lot of funny moments. There were a lot of interesting moments. There was the whole aspect of, again, where the aspect, in regards to my eyes, that it almost seemed like, oh God, they're going to, let, Brie Larson be that front person. And all of a sudden, it wasn't, there were... I want to talk more in regards to what happened in this movie, but I want to kind of keep it spoiler free. But there was not that. Again, this was not that. But a lot of folks had their day in regards to this, and what happens in the movie. One of the spoilers that I will give out, yes, time travel was involved, and a lot of folks were like, that came out when they heard about that, it was going to be involved no matter what. And I just gauged the idea that there was this eye roll, like, time travel. Yes, Ant-Man was involved, and the thing was, he's grown as a character and with a level of intelligence, but it was interesting to see him not treated like that intelligent character like he is. And Tony Stark kind of treats him like he's not as intelligent. Granted, in most cases, Tony Stark is the smartest man in the room, but in this, he kind of was like turning up his nose to Ant-Man, to Scott. But for the most part, it's just, really, some of the scenes that were, it just came off like snobbish and all that, but he's just having this moment in this crisis. I won't say crisis, but it just was very good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised in regards to this movie and how it opened up things. Even though I want to say other previews that have come out kind of ruined the ending to this movie. Meaning that I could say that yes, Spider-Man has been brought back because the fact that we got trailers for Spider-Man Far From Home, and that supposedly takes place in regards to after the events of Endgame. But, and again, you have movies coming out for Black Panther 2 and Doctor Strange 2 and a whole bunch of other sequels that were rumored that kind of take place after this, because none of them were prequels. So, that being said, was there a Stan Lee cameo in this? Yes, there is, and it was a perfect fitting cameo of him kind of just driving away off into the sunset. telling everybody peace and love, make love, not war, and him being in the driving off in the bumper sticker on his vehicle saying "Nuff said." That was just a wonderful tribute to him. We, as many might think that would be a tribute to him in this, considering this was his last recorded cameo before his passing. But it was fitting. Some might complain that, well, they should have given more of a "Stan, we miss you" and everything else. That was nicely and beautifully done in Captain Marvel. They didn't really have to do it with this, but it was still a wonderful, wonderful cameo with a wonderful. I'm almost tearing up right now, just because it's Stan Lee. It's a great message, from Stan. Make love, not war. Be friendly, and that sticker saying "Enough said." Now, one of my major gripes in regards to this, other than how the pacing seemed to be there, and there being seemingly more endings than the last Lord of the Rings movie, but what really ticked me off was what happened at the last credit. Now, going into this, there was an initial article put out saying that during the premiere, the last credit scene, this was we even kind of shared, I think we shared this on our Facebook page, that the ending credit scene was cut from the premiere because the fact that they didn't want folks spoiling the movie, and they just had a kind of a Q&A panel from the cast at the premiere. So I figured every article that was coming out between that point and today, I should say Thursday when I saw it, was a piece of crap, bullcrap type of ordeal, because what they were saying is, oh, there's no after credit scene, it's just a sound, it's a ting, like a hammer hitting metal. So I figured, what they heard was that sound right before they cut it off during the premiere. Turns out it wasn't bullcrap. What they heard was the last credit, quote unquote, scene, which it just pissed me off. It's like they could have led into Phase 4. Granted, Spider-Man Far From Home is the end of Phase 3 and will lead into Phase 4, but there was no last after credit scene that we atypically get with a Marvel movie, or multiple credit scenes that we atypically get with a Marvel movie. So, what is this ting? Some say that the ting is, even though it was a sound sample from the original Iron Man of him making his first armor, but be that as it may, many fans have theorized that this ting is Doctor Doom making his face mask, the mask that he has on his face, or his armor. But we won't know until Phase 4 starts and how everything plays out. So, but it just pissed me off that that's all we got. We could have gotten a heck of a lot more. We could have gotten a little teaser for Spider-Man Phase Far From Home. But it's just that it wasn't there. It's like they made us, with a lot of articles that were out there saying, oh, there's the last, at the premiere they cut things short, there's going to be an after credit scene, and all of a sudden, no, there are a lot of other things that were coming out saying, no, it's just a ting. That's all, there's no credit scene. Like, now it's like a war. It's like some say there's an after credit scene, others saying it's this. It's just frustrating that there wasn't, and it's just aggravating that there should have been more. Granted, this is the overall end, pardon the possible pun, to a build up over the past 10 plus years. But I did enjoy a lot of stuff, but there are other parts that were, like I said, draggy and stupid, quite possibly stupid. That did the Russo brothers handle the time travel thing well? I don't think so, but they could have probably did it better. But for what they had and what they tried to work with, it could have. They probably did a better job if, I would say this, once we get this movie on DVD, Blu-ray, we'll probably know more with the deleted scenes, because it just 3 hours total from front to after credits sound, for that matter. But I think more would be explained if we look at what was cut from the movie, if anything was cut from this movie. It is 3 hours long, less if you leave at the credits. Personally, folks, if you watch this over the next week or two, I do recommend seeing it. I'm going to give it a good solid 8 out of 10, and bring friends, watch it. From what I hear, it's already breaking records. We won't know the exact amount until probably Sunday evening, Monday. But from what I hear, worldwide, it's already hit 800 million, if not more. Again, granted, also, despite the fact that from what I've heard, that this movie also was a big hit in China. It was released, I think, over the past week in China, and because of that, it was already pirated and released online. So again, this is one of those things where even piracy has not hurt this movie. With the 800 million, possible 800 million worldwide first weekend out, because of that report of it being released on movie pirated sites, or sites that cater to pirated movies. So even though we here at the show take advantage of Uncle Tony at times to get things and to watch and review things, we do not recommend talking to Uncle Tony or one of Uncle Tony's known associates, because what happens is a lot of people tend to be out of money. But if you could afford to see a movie like the Avengers or seeing an independent film, please do so. Especially support your local indie filmmakers. But if you're unsure and you are really hard up and you need to seek out Uncle Tony, please do not let us know. We are not condoning you seek out Uncle Tony, but Uncle Tony tends to be there when he's needed the most. So that's enough of my review right now. Again, I do suggest you go out and see it. Hopefully, as the weeks and months go by, we will expand on our spoilers. If by chance how things fall, if Big Candy, at the time of this recording, because it's now very early Friday morning, if he sees it between now and Saturday night and wishes to talk about it, he is more than willing to do so, and I will probably tack that in on the tail end of this. So even though this episode might be a mishmash of different things, but hopefully you are enjoying this episode. So take care. I'm out. I'll see you on the next little segment, whether it be the tail end of the episode or our call with Big Candy. So who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? Stick around with everything that is about to happen with this show. Welcome back. That was, in essence, our part 2, aka my initial reactions to Avengers Endgame. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to be heading into the biggest part of the show, which is the Skype call between me and Big Candy. Let me just note before we continue that when I recorded my initial reactions to Avengers Endgame, I was suffering with migraines and allergies all kind of rolled into one, so that's why I kind of sounded out of it. I probably still sound out of it now. I am getting over my migraines. They are kind of pulling back to a light headache, and this is just primarily a springtime thing I've always kind of had. The last several years, it's been very minor, and all of you out there might not have noticed it, but this year it kind of has been hitting full force. So, enough of that. Enough of me complaining about my allergies and my migraines that I tend to have. Here is part 3 with me and Big Candy. I shall see you on the other side of this little Skype call, or I should say fairly large Skype call, to give you the standard end of show links and all that. So take care and see you on the other side. Hey folks, you probably heard my initial thoughts on the Avengers Endgame that was just hit theaters this weekend, and rumors have it, I think the numbers came out officially, that worldwide the numbers have hit a record-breaking week 1 set of $1.2 billion, and again, that's worldwide. So this movie already made its money back and hit a profit. Mine partially blown, and by the way, for those out there, this episode is sponsored, not sponsored, by Yuengling Lager, oldest American brewery. Yuengling, if you ever come across this and make it this far in the broadcast, I'm willing to be sponsored by your brewery, despite the fact that you are out of Pennsylvania. So, I don't care. I like your beer and you're independent. So, but joining me right now is Big Candy, because him and his family saw this movie last night, this past Saturday night, and I've asked him to come on to share his thoughts on the movie. So take it away. What did you think about it?
Well, this is a shocker. I like Infinity War better, but this was a good movie. There was a lot about this that it tied up all the loose ends and left some untied. The action was great, but let me tell you, I don't know how you felt about it, but the first half of the movie was almost just a tearjerker. It was really depressing and had a really dark tone to it.
Yeah, it did that, as you'll probably hear in the review when you check out the episode later on. We're kind of discussing it now a little bit. That first 5 minutes was a kick in the fucking teeth.
Well,
it was.
I'll say this much. I'm glad they didn't show them going away.
Right. It was. There were several people in the theater that when I went to see it in Berkeley Theater. It was they were literally audible gasps, and I think there might have been at least one audible loud, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, one would have been me, because I was "Oh my god, no!" I was because anybody knows me knows I have a really soft spot for kids, and I don't like seeing kids get hurt. And I don't like seeing things happen to kids, and it was everything I could do.
Oh, by the way, folks, unlike a fresh can of Yuengling beer, that will never spoil up until its proper shelf life. How about them plugs? We will be going into spoilers, unlike the fresh beer that I am currently having, made by Yuengling. Traditional lager made in Pennsylvania. Thank you. So, as you were saying.
Well, so, anyway, I'm glad they didn't show it. Again, that was really rough to watch. Then you had your aspect of how Cap was dealing with everything, the therapy, that was the 5 years later part.
Right.
after they basically, well, like you said, spoilers, after they go and just fucking kill Thanos. I made a joke to my wife at the beginning of the movie. It was like, the movie sets up, fuck this dude, let's go get him, okay, cut his head off, credits.
And the thing is, that was one of the things that when I saw, is like, the first thing they do is they lob the gauntlet off his hand. First thing, before lobbing off, and I'm like, why didn't they do this in an Infinity War?
They're trying to take it off. They're trying
take it off.
What? And so, yeah, like, fucking lob that fucker off, like, done. And I made a joke, I was like, how funny would it be if they just trolled like 1 billion people and went credits?
It was like, wait a minute, it's like, well, if they did that early on in the film, you wouldn't have had the full Infinity Wars. But then again, Thor could have done that instead of going for the shoulder, lob the hand off.
Yeah, well, again, I don't think he meant to go for the shoulder. I think that was anyway. But he could have. There's a lot of things that they could have done that they didn't do. Let's just say it that way.
Right. I'm not saying Infinity War was a bad film, but I'm just saying it's like, yeah, but this is something even how it should have ended. Kind of point is like, yep, we're going to cut off his hand and write it.
I mean, move along, but that's one thing. The other thing is, okay, they all got him like tied up. They got him drugged up. Mantis is like got his like eyes rolling back in his head. If Star-Lord was really that pissed, why didn't he put his gun in his mouth and blow his brains out?
Right.
You know? It's not like he couldn't have done that. That would have been movie over. But, again, it's a movie, it's a story. You can bitch about the little details all you want to. Anyway. So, we get 5 years later. Everybody's depressed. Sorry.
1, 2, the ambulance is coming for you. 3, 4.
Fire trucks. Thor is now Fat Thor. Which I was just like, this is taking the dad bod thing way too far. That was slightly annoying. Seeing like skittish, chubby Thor throughout the movie. I was kind of hoping at some point he would like redeem himself, and he never really did.
But the thing, it was good to see Valkyrie, that she kind of survived, because a lot of fans were questioning, like, did Valkyrie survive? Did the other two guys that were kind of with Thor survive? So it was kind of it did answer a lot of questions, but one of the things I figured out, we'll get into that in a little bit later, is that this film, as I was telling one other person, was at times not, even though, as you said, the first part of the film was kind of dark-ish in regards to depressing, but the later part of the film, it was visually dark. I don't know if it was for you, it was just overly dark, meaning it was like they could have filmed it in black and you had to use your imagination to kind of figure out what was going on, but it was just too dark. They could have, I'm not saying they should have brightened it up just a little bit, but this is now digital HD that a lot of theaters are showing it in, and it's just dark, like you could barely see a few things or what the details of what's going on. So it's, I don't know.
That might have just been your theater. Where I saw it, it was fine.
Okay. So, and as I was saying, it's like it could have been the equipment that our theater, the Berkeley Theater, was showing it on, or the theater that I was at, but it just seemed visually dark.
Well, Berkeley Theater is an older theater, isn't it?
Yeah. But
that's probably why. To be honest with you, like, I'm over at Alamo, which is practically like, hold on.
Looking things up.
Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, I'm at Alamo, which is like a newer theater, and it's, so it's like, to me everything looked fine. I don't know. It was a darker movie, and I think the tone of it was darker anyway. But I think for the most part, well, you're right that it was like visually dark, but I thought it was also visually dynamic. I mean, a lot like towards the end of the movie, it did get like, more so with all the action and everything. More visually dynamic. There's a lot going on at the end of that movie.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, I won't agree with. I don't know about the theater, the crowd. How packed was the theater there when you went to see it Saturday? Was
Sold
it
out.
sold out? For Berkeley Theater, showing that, granted, it was in essence day one, showing one. In essence, Thursday at like 6:50 or 7 o'clock showing, but the theater was, I want to say, at least anywhere between 85 to 90% sold out.
Yeah.
So there was
when did you get your ticket?
I got my ticket that day.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, I got my ticket on the 3rd of April.
So as always.
And it was, when I got it, the only available space was second row and first row.
Well, at least you got seats. Granted, you had to look up the whole time.
Here's the thing: at Alamo, and I can't remember how long ago you said it's been since you were in there. Well, you would know.
Yeah.
Second row's not bad.
Right. And
you can sit high up in the thing, and it's okay. But second row is not bad. Second row, like, you can see everything just fine.
Right. And at times it could actually probably give you a little bit more room too. So.
Yeah. Even first row, you don't feel like it's up your ass. It's like, it's okay.
Right. And the thing is, with Berkeley Theater, they tend to do a lot of stuff that a lot of the, or I should say, a decent chunk of what the larger theaters don't do. I'm kind of excluding Alamo Theater in this because they tend to do a lot of stuff that other theaters don't do themselves. But what I'm saying is, Berkeley Theater had the plastic bucket one. They had the atypical plastic bucket and cup with the Avengers Endgame logo on it. Or if you wanted the combo, it's, I think, $17 for the combo. You get the metal bucket, which is kind of like they're large, and it comes with a lid on it, and it comes with a large drink and 2 candy, which is about $17 anyway, if not in and around there, maybe a little bit more anyway. But you're getting a metal popcorn bucket with lid that you could fit on. And they also were selling Avengers Endgame keychains for $5. So that you could pick up. So these were exclusive to Berkeley theaters, at least in our area.
Alamo had a collectible glass, and there was I want to say a lithograph or a book.
Right.
One of the two, I can't remember. But yeah, Alamo tends to do a lot of special stuff too. But we didn't. I don't get all that stuff. I don't have anywhere to put it, so I don't fuck with it. But back to the movie itself. The movie itself, like, I think, like I said, there was a lot of things that were tied up, and a lot of a lot of when the characters ultimately make the return, in the final battle scene. And you get to see that everyone's made it, and that all the people who got poofed, unpoofed. It was relieving to see Spider-Man and Tony together.
Oh, I was going to get into that in a bit. One of the biggest plot holes that I was telling somebody about, that at least that I kind of noticed. I don't think they've really explained it too well. Was the fact that in regards to Nebula, is like, she shares the future Nebula shares the same network as the older, the older timeline Nebula. And they realized it and was like, well, didn't the new, they know this immediately. The older Nebula didn't know this immediately. Why not? To me, that was a little bit more of a plot hole for me.
Because technically it didn't happen yet. Even though she was her future self from a different timeline.
Well, what I'm saying is, she should have been able to, if she was able, one was able to connect, then she should have been able to connect back. So,
well, she could,
but
she could, but she couldn't at the same time. Like they kind of explained it at one point, but she but through a different character. She was from the future self was from a different timeline than the past, or the past was from a different timeline. One of the two, and therefore, like they shared the network, but they shared the current network. In other words, she could only see what she was seeing at the moment and up to that point. She couldn't go forward or something.
Or they back because
they were trying to explain at one point with Hulk, and they're like, "That's not how time travel works."
Because what I'm saying is the old Nebula was able to see everything up until what happened in regards to the new Nebula, or I should say Nebula B, but Nebula B couldn't figure out in regards to, hey, Nebula, I'm able to access Nebula A, therefore, oops, I gotta keep my mouth shut, or figure out a workaround. But it seemed a little to me. It seemed like a plot hole. But
in a way, it was.
In a way, it was.
I think my biggest beef with the movie was that I think there was a loose end with the Adam Warlock character, to where they didn't utilize that, and instead they had Tony kind of finish off the series, or the everything.
Yeah, because in was it Guardians 2, they show Warlock and Adam Warlock emerging, and it seemed like that was a major loose end that they could have brought in and used, and they just
traditionally in the comics, that's how this gets dealt with. Basically, like a Warlock, So, there was a moment where I thought that they were going to use Adam Warlock, like when the ship started like pounding everybody, and then all of a sudden the guns pointed up to the sky. But instead it was like Captain Marvel. So
that's what a lot of folks. I'm going to word it like this. That's what a lot of folks that I tend to pay attention to a little bit were trying to focus in on, is because right now cinematically Marvel wants to concentrate on Brie Larson and Captain Marvel, whereas initially, because they want to do this and be more quote unquote diverse, they kind of left Adam Warlock off to the side, because he probably should have been the one to come in and hit that moment. But no, we have to use Captain Marvel. And speaking of that, my theater, when the guns went up to start shooting and Captain Marvel came back and destroyed the ship, the crowd was like, yes, but as soon as Spidey swung onto the scene, the theater erupted. I mean, it was like went from Captain Marvel 5 deep decimal level or straight up to pegging the needle in into the red when Spidey showed up and
my personal like boner moment of the night was
I don't know what happened in your theater during those two scenes, but that's what in essence what happened in regards to Berkeley Theater. It was relatively they cheered that in regards to it was like, whoa, she took down the ship, and all of a sudden Spidey shows up, yay, Spidey!
That moment at my theater was actually Captain America wielding Thor's hammer.
So is that scene for your theater?
Yeah. And when all of a sudden, when that thing hits and all of a sudden it goes back in Cap's hands, everybody's like, holy shit! Like, literally, I think there was a couple of those out loud.
And the thing is, I liked Thor's reaction, like, I always knew you were able to do it. And I know one of the things I I watched, it was I think either last night or this morning before I went out to do laundry, is what Screen Rant tends to do is like pitch meetings. Like they just go over some of the plot points and so forth and so on. And one of the things that they brought up was the whole, I enjoyed it, and again, Spotty brought a whole, as soon as he came back, he stole all the bits. He stole every little scene, especially when he rides on the Pegasus with, in essence, what would be Pegasus with Valkyrie. He's like, "Who are you? Hi, this is cool," and he gets taken, in essence, gets taken down, and all of a sudden, all the women just, it was a very cool shot, and I was very happy that right now that it was Scarlet Witch's movie to shine. And it was like, oh yeah, it was like Scarlet Witch was the badass, and just them all these gals just coming down and posing to kind of help out Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Yeah, spoilers. Peter Parker is Spider-Man for those out there who did not know. But that moment's like, and the screener was like, was there any coordination in regards to this? Oh, no, it's just going to happen. But did they rate it? No, it's just going to happen. But don't worry about it. But it was a cool shot. It was a cool shot. I liked the shot. But there is folks out there, again, spoilers, there were a few additional deaths in this that folks still stayed dead, and there was a lot of humorous aspects to it. One of the Easter eggs that some of you might know who don't really follow the comics, but there was a nod to the comics, was in essence Captain going Hail Hydra, but
yeah, good one.
Even though it was an Easter egg, it kind of played more with the movie setting than anything else, than the controversy between Cap going Hail Hydra in the comics. In this, it just fit. Somehow, it fit better. And though some might like might not really like the comment from Steve Rogers going, Scott's right. That is America's ass. But it's just
I thought that was fun.
He just like stops, like, yeah, he's right. But it's just like it just doesn't shouldn't seem right. But it's almost like what Cap would do. It's like, he's right. It's There were some that liked it. They thought the whole time travel was a cop out.
I didn't think it was. I thought that they did a good job explaining. It wasn't just, we figured out time travel. It was like, okay, they set it up in Ant-Man and the Wasp with the quantum realm, and then they figured it out from there. Like, basically, Scott Lang couldn't figure out how to do it, so they took it to the smartest person they know, which was Tony. And then they took it to the second smartest person they know, which happened to be Bruce Banner Hulk. But then Tony ends up figuring it out, which was great because it gave Tony, it put him back in the movie, which was cool.
Right, but I want to say,
and it also was like, if anybody's going to figure this shit out, it's going to be him. And the other callback that I liked was that they did kind of a callback with Doctor Strange, where like, you see him and he puts up his finger and does the one. He knew that what Tony had to do, and that was the only way that it was going to work, kind of thing. So he, through time travel of his own, going forward in time with the gem, he saw what happened. So I thought that was really good.
What I want to say this, I want because I don't remember seeing her getting dusted in Infinity War. It was it's like, we got to take this to the smartest person we know. They took it, just as you said, to Tony first. Then they went to Bruce. But the thing is, they left out one. I want to say this. They left out one fucking person. But then again, you don't know if this person got dusted or not in the previous movie. And that is Black Panther's sister.
But right. Scott Lang didn't know about her, technically.
Well... They could have, heck, even Brusca said, well, there's this one other person that we could have bring this to.
Well, that's true, too. Well, the other thing was, like, you're right, they could have took it to her, but at the same time, like, I guess Tony, it's more up his alley. Right. I don't know that they would have went to her first, you know what I'm saying?
Well, they could have was like, let's go to Tony first, but let's...
It's that leaves it up in the air, too, you know.
So it's...
I can see where you're coming from.
I'm not saying I'm right, but it's like one of those things that when you think about it later, it's like, well, they could have... well, Banner doesn't know. Banner, do you know anybody else that could help us on this in regards to getting everything together? And, well, I do know a gal, but it's one of those...
And you're right, though. They didn't really say whether she got dusted or not. I was trying to go back and think about it, like, you know, the casualties or whatever, and they didn't say yes or no. We know Black Panther got dusted. Right,
and the fact that his sister was okay because she's in the final battle in Endgame, because she has her own, I won't say Iron Man-esque gauntlets, but she has maybe some vibranium blasters or something that she's helping, legitimately helping out in the battle. So,
yeah, we know. But I'm just saying, I don't know. I know that Black Panther got dusted in the movie for sure. But they didn't really show
whether or not she. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If she didn't get dusted, she would have been a great person to help out. Whether or not, or they could have explained that. Well, we could go to this person, but she's busy helping run Wakanda right now, so she doesn't have time to help us out with this problem. So they could have easily tied that in, saying, well, we could go here, get some consultation real quick, but they don't really mention it.
True. So. I don't know.
Because they fill in some things, and they leave a lot out. And like I said, there was a lot that I did enjoy this. Because of the first part of the film did seem a little, I won't say at times, but it was like, speed up through humor, slow down. Speed up through humor, slow down. Then it was all of a sudden, action. But, and some people might say, it's like, oh, that's atypical of a Marvel movies. It's like, yeah, you gotta also figure this. $1.2 million first week. That is pretty much more than anything that Marvel has done, and something DC has never done theatrically. Period. And they will never do again.
No. So, yes, she did get dusted.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Let me guess, you looked it up.
Yep.
So that explains that.
Let's see. Yeah, Avengers. We find out the Avengers count her among the disappeared.
So she would have been a good person to go to.
Yeah, she wasn't dead.
Dead. It's like, oh wow, that's utterly foobar right there. Not only did the brother die, the sister died too. Yeah. Shit. Shit.
Well, there you go. So that answers the conundrum.
Hey, it was a thought. We were kind of discussing.
I feel vindicated. No Russian collusion.
So, and the fact that I'm going to say this. We're talking about a movie right now that, even though we're going over some of the plot points, the fact that this movie hit the record it did over the weekend, even though the weekend as of this recording is not technically done yet, it came out...
A lot of people... Did you see the reports on the first week of April when the tickets became available? They were selling out. They were selling out nationwide for the first day.
this is beyond that. It's like it also, like I said, this came out worldwide. It was also this weekend. It also came out in China as well. Topped the charts in China, and it got leaked because the Chinese, a couple of people in China pirated it and put it out online. So, despite the fact that this movie was also being pirated throughout many locations, and people were watching pirated copies, they still went to the theater and...
if you had the opportunity to watch a pirated version, you'd still go to the theater and watch this. Am I wrong?
More than likely. Yeah, more than likely.
Anytime I get a chance to go to a theater and see a movie like that, I'm gonna go. The pirated version has nothing. Yeah, nothing.
It'll sway my opinion. Like I'll use this. It was that stupid food movie that was out like 2 years ago, something like that. By what's his name? That helped do like a hot tub time machine and all that shit, and he helped put out Preacher on TNT. You know what I'm talking about. He was in did the Green Hornet movie.
Oh, that sausage movie?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, you're like food movie with that guy, and I'm like,
yeah, as soon as I said Green Hornet, you knew who I was talking about.
Oh yeah, because that movie sucked too.
But I saw that as a pirated film. You know, it's like I went on. Actually, I contacted Uncle Tony, and he gave me a pirated copy. And
you want to watch the sausage movie?
Yeah. Like I said, I need it. I want something. I want to know if I should. It's Seth Rogen. And I watched it, and the quality was, bad, not really all that good. But I was watching it for the aspect of the movie, and I was like, this movie sucks. Why do I want to go to spend $5 at Berkeley Plaza and watch this stupid ass sucky movie? But in this case, if I saw it, I might want to see it better on a bigger screen and get the full theatrical experience watching this and the reaction.
That's kind of the point to these big blockbuster movies, is that you want to see them at the theater. You don't want to see them at home. Like, you can watch them at home when they come out on DVD. That's whatever. But when they come out, you want to see them in the theater. You want to experience the theater. There's a reason why you go there. It's not like it has nothing to do with watching the movie. Like it's more the experience of being with all those people, experiencing it for the first time.
And I will say this. In recent years, if I see a movie in theater, it's taken on a whole new role. Is because when I tried to review movies in the past, I'm talking when I was one of those folks way back in the early 2000s that thought they were the shit to have their own little web page sponsored by such and such internet company, whatever it was, and I put up my own little review section, and I thought I was the shit. And I never once I might have taken notes in regards to what was going on in the film, but I never took advantage of what was going on in the theater. Now, if you want to say that I'm a little bit more seasoned, and how we changed in regards to reviewing films, I'm looking at what's going on in the theater and how the folks are reacting to what's going on. Meaning, let's take the whole aspect of Captain Marvel and Spider-Man, Cap getting Thor's hammer. Here is something that a lot of folks, you should be cheering for Captain Marvel. I was cheering for Scarlet Witch, damn it.
You bring up like the audience, participation. You bring up the audience, like saying things. You know what I thought was really funny is that you probably got a preview for the new Star Wars with yours too.
Right.
Nobody cared.
Right. And there were a few people that said something, but it was like,
I have been in theaters when they premiered a brand new Star Wars trailer that nobody's ever seen before. And people get up, and I've heard like cheering, I've heard like, applause, I've heard like all kinds of stuff. And people clapping when it's like wraps it up or whatever. Nothing.
Right.
The freaking zombie movie with Bill Murray got more of a reaction than the Star Wars trailer.
Let me put it like this. I'm willing to bet if I saw this upcoming Star Wars film, let's use. I won't use Solo, but let's use this episode 9 when it comes out. Let's say I'm able to have the chance to watch it day 1, showing 1. Good chance there's going to be folks coming to that in costume watching. You know that's going to happen. But I remember seeing, let's use that, it's going to be quiet. It's going to be hushed tones. Literally hushed tones. Now, I remember seeing, I forgot which one it was. I think it was either the first or second one in the prequel series that I managed. I didn't get a chance to see the third one first day, first showing, because they changed the how Regal or whatever it is. They changed their name to. I think it was Regal. Changed their name. Changed the theater times for the third prequel movie, but. So it was either the first or the second one. I think it was the second one. You had it was a packed theater, first day, first showing. You had people cosplaying, and when the infamous Star Wars crawl came up, you had one person shout out, "What? This ain't the newest Harry Potter film, you bastards!" And the theater just rolled, and. It was either Harry Potter was like, "What? This ain't the new Star Trek film, you bastards!" And it was just that joke, how it was that one guy in the back saying that. I mean, it was just hysterical, and also showing how, in regards to the crowd, it's like when about that time as well, you had the Lord of the Rings come out, and the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I think it was the third one, Return of the King, and the only cheer, it's like if anybody cheered at any point during that film, they were like, you heard a complete, from the entire theater, shh, hush. Right. But when the king's niece or whatever it was, from Rohan or whatever it is, stabbed that one ring wraith in the face saying, "I am no man, I am a woman," few people cheered. I was like, yeah, even myself was like, yes, that's badass right there. Fuck. And I think that was the only time that people were kind of allowed to cheer in the theater by the audience. But there's always that difference between the aspect of fandoms. So
yeah. I thought it was really funny that like nobody cared. Like, I don't know, it's weird.
And the thing is, people should have, but with how things are done, I think we've went over it many times with movies, and including myself on solo shows, that the fact that in today's aspect of social media, it's you speak out. Look what happened in regards to The Last Jedi. And I know you don't want to bring it up, but it's the best example. That and Ghostbusters 2016. It's like, I don't want to see this because it's bad, or people come out saying it's bad story, it's bad. It's like, I don't mind this happening, but the story overall is bad. Bad writing, bad cameos, bad this, bad that. The whole thing is just bad and sucks. And you had the folks that the selected few that probably never seen it or doesn't care about that particular universe is saying, shut up, you're sexist, you're racist, you're this, you're that, how dare you, how dare you, how dare you. And that, that's why, especially, I think this is when Captain Marvel came out, and it was like, everything that came out was like, oh, women are not putting this, are not, are ranting or raving about how great this movie was. Like, really? I was just waiting for that to show up in my timeline, because I snagged a few photos of screenshots of what people took of, like, Rotten Tomatoes of women, like, saying how mediocre the movie was and everything. I was like, yeah, let's see you bring this up. It's not just the top reviewers saying this is mediocre. It's female YouTubers saying it as well. It's not just the infamous evil men saying about this.
You know what's really funny, though? I didn't think Captain Marvel was that bad. I don't know. To me, like, I'm the worst person to ask, though, because, like, I'm just, like, I look at movies with no, like, the way I look at it, it's entertainment, and it's a story. And if it tells a story from A to B, I'm fine. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm the worst person, but, like, there are movies that I don't like. Star Wars, the reason why I hated it so much, the last one, was because I think there was so many expectations of what it could be, and I'm not the only one that felt that way. Like, I heard a lot of other people say the same thing. There was a lot of expectations there of what it could be, and it ended up not being.
It dropped the ball in so many aspects, and I agree with you. Agreed with you on those aspects too, because we did a couple of episodes in regards to it when it came out, and what people were saying was like, oh no, this is the best Star Wars film of all time. Like, no, it's not. It's got its issues, and
like one of the dumbest things, and I don't want to bring it back up again, but like one of the dumbest aspects of that entire movie is the fact that, like, what's his name, Finn and that girl leave in the middle of a battle and go and do a side mission that ultimately had no impact on the entire movie and come back. And I just, what? How?
And not to mention, overall, if you want to look at that scene, I can't remember it. And it's like, not only did the scene was pointless overall. It's like, not only that, they screwed up so bad, they got the wrong person to begin with.
Yeah.
And
ended up, like, freeing some weird horse things and, like...
Right. And it's like, forget about the slaves. It's free the horse things.
Yeah.
Right. And
they're like, mission accomplished. Let's go back to the fucking desperate battle.
And the whole aspect of, and they do that, it's like, when that whole stupid ass fiasco is going on, you have the new leader that's helping out the rebellion decides, even though there's like a half dozen, maybe a dozen people freaking left. Oh, I want to keep everything, play the cards close to my chest in a way, so it does. You're almost out of fuel. Let the dozen and a half people you have left in on your plan, so you don't have mutiny. Oh, guess what happens? A freaking mutiny.
Yeah, right?
It's like, let them in on the planet so nothing, happens. And then you have the whole aspect on the planet, Rose saving Finn because she doesn't want a sacrifice happening because of It just happened like 10, maybe at most, their time-wise, an hour with their leader trying to save them. Finn is doing just that, trying to save everybody. What she do? She fucks it up because she loves him. Yet Finn is in a love the weirdest fucking love triangle, because he has this bromance with Poe and this weird crush on Rey, and that whole freaking fiasco. And I'm keeping Luke out of this.
Yeah, right.
And the fact, folks, again, as stated, I think in my my little initial reaction, there's no after credit scene in Endgame, but it is 3 hours. In essence, door to door, front to back, 3 hours long. If you want to stay through the credits, which pretty much seemingly thank everybody in the state of California, from Aaron Apple to
Yeah, right.
Zed Seymour, you know,
And friggin', like, I don't know, like, no post-credit scene, which was really weird. Like, I thought that was very strange. To
And
break that tradition with this movie, like, why?
And it's the aspect of, there was no, as stated, I think I put it in my initial reaction, is that there was no scene, there is a sound. It's initially it was the sound drop of Iron Man making not Iron Man, Tony Stark making the first Iron Man outfit, but what everybody thought or was saying was that there was no after credit scene because and I was arguing that point because the news sources that I had at the time were saying that the everybody that is reviewing it saw it during the premiere. And Marvel / Disney cut the scene out to prevent overall spoilers as to how it ends. Therefore, everybody that was saying, "Oh, it's just a sound effect on the end," was bullshit, because maybe that's where they cut the scene out to prevent those reviewing it giving away a spoiler. So it's like, why would you? You know, that's logical. Okay, there's going to be a scene at the end. No, it's just ting. And what some people have speculated that it's not just Iron Man Stark creating the initial Iron Man suit. It's pretty much Doctor Doom creating his mask.
What?
Some people have theorized, even though it's the Russo brothers, I think that's who it is, came out and saying it's the sound that they took the sample of Tony Stark making the first Iron Man and included as kind of bring things full circle in a way, meaning that Iron Man was the first, in essence, MCU movie, official MCU movie, and this was in essence even though the next to last, but
yeah,
this was.
I get that, but why would it be friggin' Doctor Doom making his mask? Like,
as a way of nodding that this is things to come. We have that Disney now and Marvel Studios has the Fantastic Four franchise now. They have the X-Men franchise. Therefore, they can work the X-Men into things now. They could work the Fantastic Four into things now. So therefore, why not bring Doctor Doom as the next big bad? In a way.
Yeah, I see. It doesn't go with all the properties that are coming out, though.
True, but it's one of those
like the stuff that's like in the works right now. You have like Morbius, the Living Vampire. You have Master of Kung Fu. What?
You're right.
You have Kevin Smith was doing a Howard the Duck thing. I don't know how that's going to tie in. Was there anything else coming out?
You're forgetting Doctor Strange 2. You're forgetting Captain Marvel 2. Even though Far From Home is coming out.
Yeah, is that this year?
Yeah, that's this year. It's a month or two out.
Okay.
I want to say 2 months out. I think it's in June. I know the next movie I'm kind of stoked about is John Wick 3. That would to me, that's going to be a great palate cleanser, John Wick 3. And even Keanu Reeves, even though he's down and I think he's gearing up to do the next installment of Bill and Ted, which I'm kind of intrigued in seeing, because it's something that he's always said he wants to do. And I don't mind. Hey, if Keanu wants to do it, let him have some fun. But he also came out and saying that if the fans really want more John Wick movies, he's down in doing John Wick movies. That means I want to see a John Wick prequel.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because even though some people have said nothing can top the first movie, even though the second one kind of comes close to the first, but it's not as good as the first. I want to say both films are very strong movies in and upon themselves, and Keanu Reeves has done a great John Wick. He has shown himself to be one badass motherfucker for this movie, and if
they need to take the two best action franchises in the last 10 years, which is John Wick and Denzel Washington in The Equalizer, and they need to do a mashup. Have you seen any of those?
The Equalizer? No, not yet.
There's two of them out. You need to watch them both. They're both really, really good.
But I want to say this: if Stallone and Schwarzenegger ever want to do an another Expendables movie, I want to see them include Keanu Reeves and Denzel Washington, because, as you said, if the Equalizer movies are that good, especially Keanu Reeves, what he has proven himself with 3 freaking John Wick movies. That he has proven himself with being an action star at that level. That bring Keanu, even though he's 60 years old, something like that. It's like he's kicking ass and taking names, and he doesn't look 60 years old.
There was another good one too with Tom Cruise, Jack Reacher. That was good too. I thought that
bring Tom, even though Tom Cruise, they probably will never bring Tom Cruise into it because he's too much of I wouldn't say a Nancy boy, but he's too much of an entitled Scientology prick. And
I like some of his movies, but him personally, can't stand him.
That's what I'm saying. That they probably won't bring him in because he'll probably be the equivalent of what's his name from Die Hard? Bruce Willis. That that kind of person that doesn't want. He wants to be directing things, but he doesn't want to be directing things. He wants to be in charge, but doesn't want to be in charge. He wants, in essence, he wants to be an entitled little brat. Despite of what he's done, but Keanu doesn't seem like that. He seems almost along the same level in regards to when as an actor, in regards to how Stallone and how Schwarzenegger are in regards to making movies. Hey, let's do this team up in regards to the Expendables. Let's get all the guys in that have done great action flicks. Let's put this together, and they have a good time. Keanu would be like, yeah, I'm down to have a good time. I want to be cool about this, and even though he'll probably be like, hey, let's do our old cat remember, and I think it was for the third one, Stallone went up to Schwarzenegger and was let's do our catchphrase that we're kind of, famous for. It's kind of our thing. It's what made us famous. And Schwarzenegger was like, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. And they went to Bruce Willis. And, you mind doing Yippee-Ki-Yay? And, Willis, being the entitled little brat that he is, didn't want to do it. That's why Schwarzenegger said it. And I know I won't say I can't speak for Keanu, but he'd be like, yeah, fuck it, I'm having a good time. I'll say whoa a couple of times, the surfer whoa, but he's that type of person. If it's a good movie, he'll be like, shit, let's do it, let's blow some shit up.
Yeah, for sure.
But
one thing that we didn't talk about, and I didn't touch on.
This show's good for our ADD of topics, so go ahead, bring it up.
Well, the reason why I wasn't going to say anything, but did you feel that the Stan Lee cameo was underwhelming?
A little bit, but it was a little both touching and.
I thought the one in Captain Marvel was better.
Yeah, yeah, much better. It had that whole time paradox part to it. for the folks who kind of missed out, the time paradox that kind of had that happened in Captain Marvel is that for those who never seen, if you've been living on the rock for the past 10 years and never seen a Marvel movie, Stan the Man Lee, who created the bulk, or helped create the bulk of the MCU in comic form, has been doing cameos since the 90s. And I think one of the first cameos he's ever done was in Kevin Smith's Mallrats. Now, he's probably done others prior to that, but for this aspect, he did a cameo as, it was a quasi-cameo, if you want to say that, because it was more than just him coming in, saying, Excelsior, and leaving. It was a couple, he had a little scene in Mallrats, and in which he, in essence, plays himself as the creator of the MCU, or the co-creator of the current MCU. And in Captain Marvel, Stan Lee is on a bus reading a Mallrats script. And here, that's the paradox. A MCU movie with a cameo from Stan Lee playing himself as Stan Lee, not a bus driver, not a DJ, not a security guard, not a FedEx driver, but himself on a bus heading to probably a studio to read for Mallrats, a Kevin Smith movie, playing himself the co-creator of the bulk of MCU. So, and a lot of people, even Kevin Smith, tried to figure out, okay, what's the paradox in regards to this, because it's Stan Lee playing himself. So how does the Marvel Universe fit in comic form in regards to the Marvel MCU? So, that also being said, the MCU, or say the View Askew universe, fits in the MCU.
Yeah, right.
So every adventure you see with Jay and Silent Bob
are technically Disney properties now. What?
So some people could say, in essence, the whole I want to say Jay and Silent Bob universe fits in. That would be something. That would be a total mind fuck right there. It's like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Does this mean we're getting a movies?
There should be a movie. One thing's kind of go into this, like despite of all the fan theories that were out for this movie, i.e. The whole Ant-Man going up Thanos' butt and enlarging, but the one thing I agree that I am pissed about is, and I fear it's not going to happen in the whole aspect of Star Wars, for that aspect of theories, but in this, everybody kind of wanted to see the whole no shit Sherlock scene between Doctor Strange and Tony Stark. You know, it never happened. I'm like, son of a bitch, you assholes. You know, that would have been the perfect humor.
Right there, it was on the table.
It was on the table twice. If you want to count, but they just missed the opportunity. It should have been, you know, somewhere, deleted scene, alternate scene somewhere, but no. It would have been funny. But that being said, the scene that personally I wanted to see, at least in some Star Wars movie, is kind of like a Jay and Silent Bob type cameo or reference somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah.
Somewhere. I think that would have been funny. You know, just in some time, like the I want to say like the not Civil War, the Clone Wars, or like Asuka walks by. For those who are not familiar of the Star Wars ECU extended universe, Asuka, it was little orphan Annie's kind of student, and in the Clone Wars, and just to have her walk by things like, you wouldn't have seen it in the cartoon, but I would have loved to see it in the movie, or someone like, hey, would you like to have you be kissed by a dude in a trench coat? It's something like that, something along those lines that's kind of PG down a little bit, just. Would you like,
Yeah, I think they could have pulled it off.
And there's like that meme that was floating around Facebook when Force Awakens came out. It was a blown up section of one of the where the Star Destroyers were, whatever it was, one of the wrecks on the planet, and they kind of zoomed in. It was like two guys with a comb, and another guy with a pick, like a Spaceballs reference.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't in the movie. I'm like, you bastard! You missed your opportunities to make a callback, but you didn't make a freaking callback, you assholes.
You ain't found shit.
But there's a lot of fan bases out there, but you have a lot of folks out there. I think I have to look into it. It's just a lot, again, after the fact. People, now that it's already made $1.2 billion, I'm just now waiting on the whole. I'm starting to hear rumblings about it through certain aspects of the. Because it's one of those things that once people talk about it enough, and they're like, wait a minute. Like, let's take the aspect of Captain Marvel and Battle Angel, Alita Battle Angel, that was out roughly about the same time. Granted, Captain Marvel even though I think Alita might have been a little bit better than Captain Marvel, but both were very good movies overall. But because a lot of the folks that were kind of coming out against more so Brie Larson instead of Captain Marvel as a whole. They were going against the actress, not the character, because of what she said. I'm not to review it. Go back to our episode titled "The Trolls Are Coming to Get You, Captain Marvel," and download and listen to that episode for the full story in regards to what folks were saying and our kind of our coverage in regards to that. But they were focusing, it's like, don't see Captain Marvel, see Alita Battle Angel. And because these folks were saying that, the SJWs had to pop their heads up like groundhogs or those mocats or whatever the heck those little critters are called in like Africa or whatever they have, like the you know what I'm talking about. They just pick up their head and like turn all at once. What? And like, oh, we missed a movie that we should be arguing about or critiquing, and they all kind of went over to Alita Battle Angel like, oh, she's to this, and I'm like, God dang, son of a bitch, leave it, just shut up, and it's like, and they're already kind of doing this with Endgame. I think one article came across my feed saying that a lot of folks might be pissed that there might not be enough LGBTQ representation in Endgame.
Who cares?
But, like, right now, it's, again, as you said, who cares? It's like, leave it be.
How do you know? They weren't checking each other's fucking, like, junk out. You don't know. Thanos could be gay. They just didn't tell anybody.
And it's like leave it be. It's like, yeah.
You don't have to walk around waving a flag.
It's like it's the whole aspect of, it's like, yeah, granted, in the scene with Captain America, that he's, in essence, it's probably his support group for those that are trying to get over the loss of, not only is there half the population of the planet Earth gone, that means loved ones of all types are gone, and for many people out there, you lose someone you love deeply, whether it is the same gender as you or another gender. It's going to hurt severely, and
they didn't just die; they turned into dust in front of you, or like you didn't even see it happen. So,
to say goodbye.
Very dramatic.
And a lot of people in the who deal in psychology and all that, and in grief, and specialize in grief, if you were with that person for 5 years, 10 years, it might take 5 or 10 years to get over that grief. And
or never.
Or never. That's why I use that reference, because when my mom went through her divorce, she in essence went to a support group for those who lost a partner, and they pretty much told her, you have to treat it like grief, because you, in essence, even though that person, no matter what they might have done to you in the past, you have to get over it now, because it can be considered grief, because that person is no longer part of your life, and you have to come away with that, even though they did not pass away. And in this little, I guess Cap kind of understands that, and he's kind of doing this to help people, I guess, get over the grief. And one of the people in that group is part of the LGBTQ community, and he's talking about how he's trying to get back into the game, that he lost his partner, and he's now in the trying to get back into the dating game again. And some people have said, it's like, well, that's not enough. Granted, these are the same people as folks like
it's either nothing at all, or it's not enough. It's like nothing.
No, it's not that. It's not. Yeah, you're right. Nothing's good enough. Look, when I was on Sasha's stream a couple of months ago, and it's just that we were talking about the whole aspect of Catwoman coming up. And I said, yeah, and the whole aspect of that is that with Catwoman, who the person portraying Catwoman is part of the LGBTQ community, and there are many folks in that community saying that the actress is not gay enough for that character.
Fuck, man. Seriously?
And yes, it has come out that she's not gay enough. That she might be more bi than gay, so she shouldn't be able to play this character. It's like
remember what they did to Scarlett Johansson, because she played a trans man in that one movie? It wasn't enough that like a trans person was being portrayed in a movie. The actress playing the trans man wasn't actually a trans man, so we can't have that. It's like, come on, man. It's a portrayal. These are actors. That's what they do.
And it's as someone like Evan Van Sciver, there's occasionally I watch what he puts on, and I've enjoyed the dude's artwork.
Oh yeah, I like that.
So, and and I enjoy watching every now and again Billy Tushy. I want to meet the motherfucker again, because he's a nice guy too.
A couple times, right?
Yeah, I've seen him, and he's a fun guy. Billy's a fun guy to meet. Funny guy too. And the thing is, even it's like, yeah, these are people that come and pipe up. They don't buy the toys. If they watch the movie, they're not the ones. Even Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, he's the main guy behind Geeks and Gamers, is coming and it's like, yeah, they're not like me, they're not like you, they're not like the person down the street. They're not going to see this 5, 6, 8 times. They're going to see it once. That's it. Right. There is one person that's on his team. She makes her own content, and she pretty much said, in the span of 9 hours, I've seen it twice. She's seen Endgame twice, and she said she might have to go back to see it again. But it's that aspect. These are like, they're not going to see it. They're going to see it once. Even says like, these are folks that are not going to buy the toys. These are bots. These are folks that just want to be the small little Chihuahua dogs. If they haven't said that, but it's what they say. All they want to do is yip 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 and make accusations, and they're just to get their way and not do anything about it. They're not going to see it.
I'll have you know, and this is a fact, 16 of the Chitauri warriors on Thanos' side were trans.
I'm going to have to take your word for that.
And Mantis has a dick bigger than Drax's.
Probably does.
2 of them.
And
Because she's an alien.
She's an alien.
Not from here. Because it doesn't matter. Because, honestly, you could make up anything you wanted to. Matter of fact, every Chitauri warrior on Thanos' side is a lesbian. It's no less true than 2 seconds ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know why people worry about this stuff. You're not trying to date them. You're not trying to fuck them. You're not trying to, like, idolize these. It's just... it's a character. It's a movie. It has nothing to... Zero to do with the plot. If we were exploring the inner, love life of these characters, and that was something that had to come up, okay. Has zero to do with the plot.
I will say this. In recent weeks, I'll
go a step further. You could, like, there could be a thing where, like, Captain America was gay. It just never says it throughout the movies, but you just know he is. Wouldn't matter to me. Wouldn't matter one iota. It has nothing to do with the plot.
Right. I will say this. In recent, I don't know if you saw the same things that I did. I want to pull up the actor's name so I get his name right. There was a clip being spread out around. It was, I think, Chris Hemsworth, Brie Larson, and Don Cheadle. And she kind of, you saw, for the folks at home who haven't seen the clip, she kind of like elbows like, huh? And Don pretty much looks at her, and people have...
he says, I told you
not to touch me. Why are you touching me? And there was somebody who came out who is a expert on body language, and she even stated that this might have been a planting, but the way he's coming across is that this is something that he doesn't want happening. Now, I say this because there has been a YouTuber that I've respected in regards to what he has been putting out in regards to the anti-flat Earth movement, in regards to how some of the anti-flat earthers have put out videos. He's kind of like, okay, they see this is my experiments debunking that. But
it's even a thing.
I'm just saying. I'm just trying to provide.
I had to say that out loud.
Right. But I'm trying to provide context that he does a great job in explaining things and coming across educated. But when it comes, and he's showed videos side by side. But when it comes to debunking what some of the people have done in regards to what Brie Larson has said, or it has done, like with the Hemsworth and Don Cheadle incident, he pulls out with a 2-minute sarcastic. It comes off as sarcastic and ignorant. Not so much ignorant, but kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It's like not bullish, but kind of dismissive. Like, and I think one of the videos he's come up and said that, oh, look at this, because you could barely see this in these pixels of her right eye, says, this, that, and other thing. I'm like, you picked apart, I want to go into this comment section and go, listen, if you pulled videos in regards to flat earthers and picked apart and done experiments proving them wrong, why are you creating a 2.5-minute video saying these, cocky stuff that makes you seem like an idiot in a way? Not an ignorant idiot. It just makes you seem like what you're saying is snobbish. That's the word. Very snobbish. That you're not treating these arguments the same way you're treating those arguments. Pull the videos. I would have said pull videos from Geeks and Gamers. Pull videos from that Star Wars girl in regards to this. Pull videos from Mecha Random. Forgot the rest of her channel's name. Pull videos from Ethan Van Stiver. Do give them the same treatment you give the flat earthers. Pull apart their arguments. Find out what they're wrong. Go on their live streams and discuss and debate what they have to say. They'll be, I'm sure, even Van Stiver would help you out and ask you to be on part of their live streams. But a good chance he won't. Good chance he won't. Because he's coming, it's like, well, I think when Captain Marvel came out, it's like, well, little do they know that these, X-Men and Marvel was very diverse. That's not what these folks are saying. And it's like, that was, my aspect. That's what they're not saying. The folks that are going against what Brie Larson is saying and or doing did not put down Alita Battle Angel. They did not put down the aspect of Wonder Woman. They're not putting down the aspect of Captain Marvel. They're going after the actress themselves, not the character. There's a difference, in a way. But
there was an incident with Jeremy Renner too.
I saw that. She made a comment, and it was in regards to a question in regards to has, I think, being a celebrity changed how you do things, and she said, well...
No, it was do you use your celebrity to prop up, your positions? In other words, like your political or your... or your charity stuff. And he's like, she said, I like to use my celebrity to do all that stuff. And he's like, I don't.
Yeah.
Like the way he came off. And it was funny because they showed, what I watched was they showed him interacting with Paul Rudd in interviews for Endgame, where they're just goofing it up and laughing and having a good time. He's with Brie Larson and he looks like uninterested.
He doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like any interviews I've seen where anybody is with her, they don't want to be around her.
I think part of it is that she's come out in the past saying, again, there's been several episodes I brought this up, that she has come out saying that she doesn't like the cast.
I think she's a very toxic person. And I think that she's probably saying things on set that people just don't agree with. And I think that if they don't agree with her, then she shits all over them. And I'm guessing that she's got a better than you complex.
I want to go probably take it. I'm going to put on.
I've heard that she said in the past. I'm willing to bet you that she's like a regressionist, like leftist, like kind of asswipe. And a lot of people just don't like those people.
No, I want to say this. I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat aspect of things. I think it's gone a little bit more. I think Brie Larson herself is coming from a position of privilege. Let me explain for the folks at home. Where you have actors like Chris Hemsworth, or not so much Sam Jackson. I want to say someone like Danny Trejo, or what's his name that was in Backstreet Boys. He became an actor. He was in The Brothers. Who?
Justin Timberlake?
No, not Justin Timberlake. His one of his brothers has a restaurant. Let's see.
Wahlberg?
Yeah, Wahlberg.
That was New Kids on the Block, though.
Boy band, excuse me. I don't.
TB, yo.
But he's earned his cred. I want to say even to the point of Justin Timberlake would have more of my respect, because in regards to film, he's earned his cred. He worked crappy movies to cut his teeth to probably be a better actor. So there's that. But with Brie Larson, I can't say in regards to someone like their past, in reference to how they grew up, but Brie Larson came from rich folk. Her parents were rich. Oh, I want to be a singer. Okay, we'll buy you studio time and load you down with auto-tune. Oh, I want to be a model now. I want to be this. I want to be this. So that's what she becomes. She does not earn her way through the ranks.
furthers my point that she's probably a regressionist leftist, that she's overprivileged. She doesn't respect anything. She thinks she has to have a very feminist position and a very apologetic position. Like, she's got to, like, you know, basically be like, men equal evil.
I'll go.
Evil.
I'll go one better. Let me use because even though I probably put a lot of guy for those out there, and it's like, oh, I'll go one better. Gal Gadot. She before becoming an actress, she was in the military. She earned her stripes. She worked her way up.
She killed a dog.
She killed a dog as part of her training. You know, it's. I'm just using Gal Gadot as an example. It's like she didn't come from a place of privilege. She came from military. I served my country as a member of the military, a badass part of the military, probably. I think that's what the part of the military she came from was, like one of the higher end aspect of where she listening, and then she was like, okay, I served my country, now I would like to be an actress, I want to earn my stripes. I have no problem with that. Just that with someone like Brie Larson, when you hear that her family is of that type of privilege of money, it's like, therefore you didn't earn it. Your folks probably like, okay, honey, we'll pull some strings and let you be an actress now. You didn't earn it.
Kind of a side note, kind of our ADD thing. Like, that's one thing that I think is, like, interesting about Israel is the compulsory, like, military service that you have to serve. Like, everyone has to serve in the military if you're an Israeli citizen. And it's like everybody from, like, potential supermodels to, like, regular dudes, like, all kinds of people. Like, it was funny because I was watching a thing and, like, they had time off and they got to go to a concert. And, like, you just see this mishmash of this, like, all kinds of people, not just jarhead dudes, but, like, really attractive women. But yeah, they're in the military.
Yeah, but I'm saying they serve their country. It's like,
it's crazy. I think compulsory service is kind of neat, like, in that aspect that, like, everybody has to do their, I don't know, I want to say it's like 2 years
or something like that. But you still, I want to say that's like to go switch it up completely, go the other side of the spectrum. What was his name? The basketball player, Woo Yu, whatever the heck his name was. He came Woo. I know, but it was just one of those type of names. It was like, they did a whole Burger King thing where references like, would you like some? No, it's Woo. But before signing on to the NBA, he's like, listen, I'm being called up for active duty in my native in China. I would like to serve my country before signing on to the NBA, and that's what he did, and they allowed him to do so, to serve his aspect in his country before becoming a pro basketball player. And to swing it back to the other side of the spectrum again, look at Elizabeth Olsen, aka Scarlet Witch. Guess who her sisters are? Yeah. They're multi-billionaires, and she's got to work her way out of that freaking shadow. And I want to say she did a bang-up job as Scarlet Witch.
She did. You know what? If he wouldn't have called down that strike, she would have had him.
Yeah.
I think she's about ready to take care of business.
And here I am. I'm the one rooting for Scarlet Witch. Oh, like, well, you got to root for Captain Marvel and Brie Larson. Screw that bitch. Elizabeth Olsen. Elizabeth Olsen. And I'm not saying that because Elizabeth is a redhead. Screw it. If I was going that route, I would have been rooting for Karen Gillan, who played Nebula, because she's a fucking redhead too. So shut up. It's true. But yeah, it's like that's just me. It's like, well, with what I just said, there's no way you could fucking call. Well, in a way, you probably could call me sexist, but I'm rooting for Scarlet Witch, Nebula, and everybody else. But I'm not rooting for a fucking Brie Larson.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't give a shit about her. Like, I don't think they're going to be making any more Captain Marvel movies.
The thing is, I've heard rumblings of that Brie Larson. I gotta look into it. I gotta dive a little bit into it. In regards to Marvel's looking to have Brie Larson direct a few films too, superhero films. I'm not sure whether it's going to be one of those Disney Channel quote unquote exclusives, but I think that's where they're going to. If they're smart, that's what they're going to be doing, is put it on the Disney Plus streaming service, because it would be the safe bet. That way, if it doesn't do well, oh well. We could just write it off.
Aren't there like 3 or so guaranteed shows that are coming out on there?
Yeah, one of which is Loki. The other one is the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Speaking of which, because of our ADD is always a constant on our show, what do you think about the whole Captain America ending to the movie in regards to him kind of playing things out with Carter?
I thought that was great. I mean, that's all I can say. I thought that was the perfect ending. I thought they ended it well, because they ended it with Tony dying, which was the first movie, and then they ended it with Captain America getting what he wanted, because he was the first Avenger. So, and
the thing is, again, spoilers, folks. He gave up the shield to Falcon. Yeah. To be the next.
Gave it to Falcon. And
the thing is, folks, I have no problem with this, because even though it happened after I got out of comics, you have to figure it was a 50-50 split between Bucky and Falcon, because both characters in the comic storyline have been taking up the Captain America mantle. So
now, in the comics, I could be wrong, but didn't Bucky become U.S. agent?
Yeah, I think when Captain America, Steve Rogers came back for a little while, therefore Bucky became the agent of America, whatever it was. So that was that aspect. But it was a weird transformation type of ordeal. So how this whole aspect is going to play out in whether or not the Winter Soldier / Falcon thing is a prequel or not, we'll see. Same thing with the whole Loki aspect. We'll have to see that, because he kind of takes the track.
Okay, I gotta stop you right here, folks. We're gonna add a new thing for the drinking game that goes along with the show. If you're drinking, play along. Every time this motherfucker says the word aspect, take a drink.
Take a drink.
You say the word aspect more than anybody I have ever met in my life.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So.
No. You say it's not a legend.
Allegedly.
So new aspect.
You and the folks. Now you and the folks at home have to decide whether I'm saying allegedly to get them drunk, or I'm saying it on
Right.
So it's that whole problem area. It's the same thing. Well, one of the discussions I was having with people was that, how they're going to do the whole Black Widow movie that's coming out. That might be in essence a prequel, because no one really knows how things are going in regards,
because they can't do anything now because she dead.
Right, they can't. She's dead deader than disco,
and she's dead for good. She can't come back.
She's like Gamora, dead. Dead.
They're
gonna have to fix time to get her to come back.
Right.
Get that DeLorean and just send it up to 88 miles an hour.
So wait, that's a good one. Did the Gamora from that timeline? Did she stay in this timeline? Did she go back to her timeline?
I think she went back to her timeline, because I don't remember seeing her in the the one of the multitudes of endings that are almost compared to Lord of the Rings endings. But I didn't see her on the ship when Thor went onto the ship with Rabbit and Peter Quill, and I saw Mantis, Drax, Rocket, and Quill and Thor, but I didn't see Gamora.
You know what I just thought of something. Here, more ADD. The fact that the Nebula, why? Because you were talking about how come she didn't know everything she knew. Future Nebula, good Nebula, shot and killed old Nebula, and if they were essentially the same, how come she's at the end of the movie at the funeral? Bam! So she survived, even though she shot herself.
Well, I want to say, put it like this:
killing herself in the past.
Well,
like a looper.
I'm gonna pull. I'm gonna have to pull, like, kind of what you said. I'm gonna have to pull what I want to say the original Sorcerer Supreme said herself, that all the stones had to be returned to the moment they were taking. So everything that happened, the nebula that we saw and got killed was the nebula that happened after the stone was taken. So once the stones were put back in place by Steve Rogers, the overall
that never happened.
Right.
Okay. But wait, does that mean that Thanos is alive?
Thanos, still at that point, at that funeral, has his head cut off.
That's right. Yeah, because they went up there and cut his damn head off.
Because the Thanos...
That's right. Everything happened. I'm just now grasping this. So everything happened, but then they took it back, and then everything was fine up until that point. Okay.
Right.
I got it.
Time travel is confusing.
All they did was, like, undo everyone getting dusted.
Right. They... that's how they kind of... And one of the other problems I had in regards to that little ending aspect is that we saw Bulk, or the Mr. Fix-It Hulk, depending on how you want to call him.
Oh, deep dive. Nice.
Deep dive. Yeah. When he put on the Iron Man gauntlet with all the stones, he got that power surge of kind of like how Thanos had that surge of putting on the stone each time he put on the souls and the Iron Man gauntlet with the stones. But that be the case, why didn't Tony Stark have that same surge run through his system that we saw through the Bruce Banner Hulk and Thanos?
Well, he did. He died.
Well, he died after the fact, but he didn't have that. When you saw Bruce Banner Hulk put on that glove, he had that energy go through his arm and have that power. Stark didn't have that initial boot up, if you will. He just raised it and went, ha ha, like a, ha ha, I got him, you didn't, I took him off you, they're in my hands now, and snap.
Well, maybe, and I'm just going to go out on a limb, this is a big maybe. Maybe because the entire suit was more like, okay, like, you know when Thor zaps Tony and he absorbs the power to overload his suit? So he's like overcharged.
Right.
Maybe the same thing kind of happened.
That he redirected it. Yeah. There's that chance.
Maybe the suit absorbed. It was in the process of trying to absorb the power.
Right. Okay, I'll go with that. It's one of those things that seems like a plot hole, but probably wasn't. So. Right. It's just. Yeah, folks, we have EDD in the show. Allegedly. It's an aspect we have on the show. It's okay, where is
aspects of our show?
It's one of the many aspects of our show. folks at home, do not play our drinking game with Everclear Moonshine.
Yeah, please use like water or
Soda. Preferably, since it's getting warmer, water or possibly Gatorade, because it might actually be better for you than soda. Hello?
Just to do it with alcohol, maybe like with like no dual or,
yeah.
or something with a very low alcohol content.
Oh, that new Heineken that's out, that's not any alcohol in it.
Because I guarantee at the end of the show, you will have blood poisoning, and you will be in the hospital and possibly dead. So
that be the case, please do not listen to our show, then watch Life Force and play our drinking game for both. You will be...
You'd be in a coma.
Or dead.
You might as well have drank a Pangalactic Gargle Blaster.
You will be dead from alcohol poisoning. Literally dead. I guarantee you'll be dead with a smile on your face, but you'll be dead.
Right.
And if there's an afterlife, do not explain to folks why you died. Make something up.
Oh, I was listening to this thing.
Yeah, I was listening to it. They have a drinking game. What's a drinking game?
This guy said aspect. I took a drink.
And every time they say allegedly, I take a drink too. And the whole thing.
Every time they went through a goddamn door.
Just door noises.
How many doors are in this building? Oh, Life Force.
Life Force. It's like, then I watch Life Force, and the part of their drinking is every time somebody goes through a door and you see boobies take a drink, and the whole movie's full of boobies and doors.
That's the slogan on the back of our t-shirt.
Boobies and doors?
Boobies and doors.
Doors.
And people will be like, what?
Oh, the word is, it's no longer what's your geek, it's boobies and doors.
Boobies and doors.
Hashtag Matt Burns orgasm. Matt's all face. Talk about Wayback Machine.
Oh, yeah. Hashtag Matt Burns O-face.
Yeah. Oh, dear God.
That what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, Melloween. What?
Melloween.
Poor Matt.
We were watching, what was it? What was that movie called? It was Foliage.
You have it. You have it somewhere.
It was like radioactive
trees or something like that. Killer trees.
Yeah, radioactive foliage or some shit. Cannibalistic foliage or some shit. And Matt Burns having sex with all his clothes on was great.
We ripped him so hard that day. It's disgusting.
Him and Jenny Janetti having sex with their clothes on. Possibly the best damn thing I've ever seen in my life.
I should borrow that movie off you, rip that scene, and upload it to YouPorn.
Oh, I need to freeze frame it on his face. I really would get a shirt done like with that. I think I could do it too. I think there's a strong possibility that's going to happen eventually.
I think I could do it too. There's many things I just snapped off the, screenshotted off the screen and just put it up as a meme. I should watch it too and just put it. It's like the look on our listeners' faces when new episodes. Hashtag Matt's O-face. 3 days later, God damn it. It's like, why do you pick on me so much? Oh, it's so easy, Matt. It's so easy.
Because it's so much fun. That's why.
And the thing is, folks at home, Matt is such a sport. He ribs us back all the time. He as much as we give Matt a hard time, as much as we dish it out, he dishes it out right back, and just as hard. And when it comes down to brass tacks, both we at I can't speak for Big Candy, but I know for a fact when it comes down to brass tacks and it's time for business, that the kidding gets put aside and it's time for business, literally. Yeah. We give Matt, at least I give Matt that much credit, and he's put on what he's trying to do now, going from I want to say with what he did with 4-State and what he started with 4-State, he succeeded. Probably not to the level that he hoped it would be succeeded to, but he succeeded. He had an idea. He ran with it, and I want to say he succeeded with it. And his new endeavor, what he wants to do and wants to try to do, I do want to be part of it. 1, 2, I wish him the best. I think he'll be able to pull it off. So.
And I was going to say, if you want to see him, listeners of the show, and you want to see us all in the same spot, coming up, June 29th?
Yeah.
We're all going to be at the ECBRO annual Virginia Bigfoot Con.
Yeah, and at that show, we'll be not only covering that show, we'll be helping Matt Burns and Mark Byrne, no relation, with their. I'll be trying to get as many panels as I could. I'll probably be there with full gear just in case. But I know, speaking with Mark, he wants. I don't know if he'll be recording it himself, but he wants he's down with me recording the panel, his panel, his Q&A.
Future DVD extras?
Yes, I don't know if he's going to be recording it visually, but we'll be recording it visually and audio, not just the audio aspect, but for our show, but visually as well. That way he has at least 2 different angles if he's recording it himself to include as a DVD extra. So for future reissuings of his movie, so there's that. So we'll be participating in that, and it's going to
see Matt Burns in July. Am I right?
In July at the 4-State punk rock festival here in Martinsburg, West Virginia, and it's a building that I've been in. It's an interesting venue. I want to see how the School of Rock has changed the venue since I've been in there, and it should be an interesting time. It will probably more than likely not get shut down like it did last year, and at our table, good chance Josh from Victims and Villains will be showing up, and we'll be because out of goodwill, and Josh is a good folks from Victims, good people from Victims and Villains. I said, if you want to share this table, come on down.
Are we actually going to have a table there?
Yeah, because Matt kind of screwed up last time on his. I think he forgot, and he said, "You got a table this time around." And it's like, okay. And I said, "How much are the tables?" He says, "Don't worry, it's on me." So we have a table there, and we'll be set up.
Should I bring some of my punk rock artwork?
If you will, even though we'll be promoting our show there, and Josh will be there for a few hours because I think he's got work that day. And he said, I can only be there for a few hours. I'm like, you're welcome at the table. Share the table with us.
Like, okay, every artist has their niche subjects, and mine tend to be horror and punk rockers. That's all I ever do. Horror and punk rockers. Mm-hmm. And even when I go to artists like Artist Alley or like popular artists and stuff, they're like, what super character do you want me to draw? I'm like, I don't. I want you to draw me a punker. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay. Because I don't know. I'm fascinated with the 80s era of punkers and just that whole thing. Like, if you ever seen the movie Suburbia, not the 90s one with the kids hanging out at the 7-Eleven, but the one from 1982, I believe. It's got Flea in it from the great the Chili Peppers or whatever.
I think so. I don't remember, but either way.
It's on either Netflix or Prime right now. If you want to look it up, it's a good movie. It's got I think TSOL's in it as far as bands go. There's TSOL, DI. Forget who else is in it. Maybe Circle Jerks. I don't know. But I know that it's back in the old LA California punk scene, and it's just a bunch of like kind of runaway kids all living together and shit. Anyway, visually, it's what I like to draw and what I like to paint and stuff. And like, so I figure it's a punk rock show. I might as well bring out my punk rock art that no one's ever looked at before.
I just want to say that how the logistics of the table between the three of us it's something we could figure out that day, but it's something I'm sure.
I got my own little table I can attach to it.
But it's that be the case. It's between sharing the table for a little while with Josh. It ain't nothing. Plus, it at least the last 2 weeks of June is going to be hair pulling for me in a way, because as kind of stated at the very tail end of our the addition to our breaking our streak last week in regards to our show.
We gotta talk about that.
Yeah, but it came to my attention. I was finally contacted by the person that is doing or handling things for the Library Pop Culture Show, and I was finally gotten the forms for the show, and we are set up and ready to go for the show. So the 22nd is the Martinsburg Public Library's Pop Culture Show. Then the week after that is the Bigfoot Show. Then a month after that is the whole punk rock show. So it's going to be a very busy June and July, and probably after that, probably a few dealings with Don Ramirez in regards to the projects he's doing in and around town. So who knows what the hell is going to be going on over the summer, and if I don't suffer from podcast burnout by the end of this year, I will be shocked as hell. Literally shocked as hell. And
so, going back to last week, which I thought was a fantastic little look back into technology. Did you listen to it?
A little bit.
I listened, because I listened to them at work, so, like, I listened to the whole thing. And it was really funny. I mentioned it to you on Facebook, but it was really funny listening to us talk about, like, having to go home and get on the internet, and, like, spending time on the internet, and, like, calling, like, websites, like, by their proper names and ending with .com. And it was just, to me, it was funny because it's been, 10 years since we put that out, and how things have changed. Like, this was like, that show was pre-smartphone,
right? And not to mention, we didn't know anything. We when it came to folks, when it came to podcasting back then, I've said it before, we didn't know shit. Literally,
we were in. Let's put it this way: I think there was a lot of podcasts out back then, but we were in a very small company compared to now.
Right. It wasn't just that. We didn't... I think overall we knew way less than what we know now. There were a few aspects that we tried to do. We kind of were... Even though back then there was MySpace and there was Twitter and there were like...
we talk about our MySpace page on the thing. I was like, MySpace.
But that whole aspect's like, we kind of understand the use of social media and to promote things, but I think the plan we had at the time was the $5 rinky-dink Lisbon plan, which kind of limited us to expand what we wanted to do. So we didn't... I think at that time it was partially due to financial concerns, but we had big ideas. We were doing a lot of the right things, but it was I want to say by accident for the most part. We were accidentally doing something. Everything we were doing right, it was by accident. At the same time, we were doing a lot of shit wrong.
But you know what? The best part about it was, and I'm being 100% honest, the best part about it was just you and I sitting down, drinking a beer, and shooting the shit on a podcast for, like, that little half hour, 45 minutes that we would do it. To me, that was just, it was a blast.
We kind of do that now. In a way.
Absolutely do that now. And it's funny, though, because it was what it was back then. and there was no social media. There was no like outside pressure. There was no like, we got to promote the show shit. It was just us talking to ourselves, and if nobody listened, like whatever,
Ice cream, ice cream, ice cream.
Like, yeah, that's like a block away. I should drive over there and get ice cream on the show.
And the thing is, it comes in so faint, and it's just that we're kind of talking about that prior to this aspect of the show. It's like you can hear that whole part. Is like my hearing has kind of still one very good. To hear the ice cream man a block away and faintly, and it's like ice cream, ice cream.
I really heard it. Like, that's funny, and I'm like right there. That's serious. And I was like, oh yeah, ice cream man. But no, it just that was a fun time that we had during that show, and I still say my intro, despite the fact that it got pulled because off of YouTube, was a kick-ass fucking intro to that show. And I mashed up a Gorilla Biscuit song, and the one song from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
And the thing is, that was the thing that it got dinged. I had to remove it because it wasn't a hard strike; it was a clean, and there's a difference between the two. A strike means that we can't go live. There's a few things we can't do, and so forth and so on. A claim just means they just want their money, and we got claimed twice. Once was for the first 27 seconds because of the Rocky Horror Picture Show song, and the other one was for the closer, despite the fact that it was.
We got tagged for that?
Yes.
The closer.
What would be the closing aspect of the song?
Wait a minute, you're talking about the little the one that the song we put at the end of the show.
Right, that's what we got claimed for.
It was a band called Good Clean Fun, and it was a song called Loser.com. Now that's owned by Victory Records.
Let me bring up the.
Maybe?
Do I still have that
record? It may be somebody smaller than that, because that was a local band from DC.
Let's see. Yes. It says okay. When the internet goes down, the exclusive sound machine comes out. It was claimed by Organic Music. Who's the other one that? In essence, claimed by Organic Music. One was copyright contact loser.com. Copyright claimed by the Orchard Music, and the other one was just saying it was Rose Tint My World by the Orchard Music. Claimed by the Orchard Music, which means this company by the name of the Orchard Music claimed both songs.
Really?
Right.
See, where does fair use come into play?
When it comes to YouTube, nothing. I want to share the video with you because I have you here now, and it's going to be part of the show. Folks at home, this is what happens. I made reference to this gentleman many times in the past. I respected his views, and there's a lot of views that I agreed in regards to video games, and that is Angry Joe. Love him, hate him, whatever. He posted up, this was like a few days ago, one of his videos in regards to his reaction to Borderlands 3 footage got claimed because 4 seconds of a Weemaway was in his video.
I saw that.
4 seconds, and he obviously he's a way bigger channel than we are on YouTube. We got 15 subscribers. That's including both you and me, and he's got like 1 point something million at least.
Right.
And he got claimed for 4 seconds of a Weem away. And there's it's not just that. There was a YouTuber that went out. He found a cover of this one song. I think it was a Tyler Perry, not Tyler Perry. This one female singer. It was like almost a metal cover of that song, and he made a. He said his video of him doing a bad cover of that cover. Pretty much, he found like a recorder, like one of those recording. It's a musical instrument called a recorder,
Yeah,
and he did. It's like a flute, and he did a bad cover of that cover using that flute, and it got claimed by the original copyright holder, and it sounds nothing like the original song or the cover.
See, I don't understand how they can do
Hard strike, not claim, hard strike.
Right. So what happens when you get a copyright claim? What happens?
It just means that, let's say I put up a video that has a clip of the movie Blade or Crow.
Right.
And whoever owns that movie puts a claim on that, a copyright claim. Or let's take even better. Let's take the WWE claim that we had a few weeks ago.
Right.
What they're able to do on YouTube is place an advert, even if it could be as little as 4 seconds, an advert in the middle of that clip to gain, even though I'm not able to monetize my channel, they're able to monetize that video, that section, to gain money. The money kind of goes to them if I leave it be. Now, if I say, wait a minute, this is us doing a review, it's fair use, I'm using it as an example, whatever funds that is made on that video that was placed gets put in, from what I keep hearing, it gets put in a coffer, and whoever wins gets that funds. Now, but because of my channel, it needs like almost I think they moved the freaking goalposts. It used to be it didn't matter. Then it was 100. Now I think it's 1,000. In order to monetize the channel, I think you have to have upwards to a minimum of 1,000 subscribers and over 4,000 total watch time in order to monetize your channel for pennies, literally.
Yeah.
And whatever that fund, I don't think, because my channel's still so small, I will not see any of that funds. At that point, it would probably be a penny or a nickel at the most anyway, because our total viewership on most shows and videos is on average 4 or 5. There's been a few that hit, if not 100, more than 100, in regards to our YouTube channel. So at most they'd get a penny or a half cent over the lifetime, but they just want money. That's it. And
so your option is just either like leave it up and like let them get all the money, or take it down.
Or take it down, yeah. So if I choose, so what I did was I took it down. Even though you folks at home, you're still able to listen to the episode through Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Podbean site, which is thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com, and.
But see, here's the thing. So doesn't that fall under false copyright claim?
It could, if there was that aspect of a 20, because if the original opener is 20 seconds, if we use 20 seconds as between the two songs, 40 seconds as a total, and 20 seconds as a closer, as the limit, YouTube doesn't care, or the folks who put in the claims don't give a rat's rear. They're going to put in a claim anyway, and just to get that money. It could be a false claim. If it is, YouTube is not worried about it.
Is YouTube actually monitoring this stuff, or did it get picked up in the algorithm?
It might have got picked up as soon, because with us, when I hit publish, if like right now, this section of granted, the first two sections of this episode is going to be short, but this part is about 2 hours. Let's use this chunk right now. It's about 2 hours and 17 minutes long as of this recording. I hit publish, it goes immediately to YouTube. Immediately. Through Podbean. Podbean's just like, alright, here you go. And YouTube, and because of that, the algorithms see that, and it'll automatic. It's pretty much automatic. These are bots put out by these companies that kind of look for that. Again, case in point, when I did when zombies attack, it had a song in it that was put out by a independent company, a Geek band that Dobbs was part of for a good while, and they, in essence, at that time, they gave me permission to use that song. And when I posted, because I had it on my new laptop, I'm like, alright, this is video. Big Candy said we should have more videos on our channel. Let me post this up. It's a geeky music video. That's something that most people haven't seen on our main channel yet. Let me post it up. And I didn't hit publish yet. That video got claimed. The instant it got finished processing, it got claimed by CD Baby.
That's crazy.
And I didn't even hit publish yet.
Right.
So in order for me to delete it,
I don't understand. Like, okay, so in the instance of when we got claimed by WWE, that was like WWE playing faintly in the background. It picked that up,
right?
And we got claimed for it. How? I still don't understand how that's even fair. You know, it's playing in the background of us talking to each other.
It's the you might hear a little bit of like Steven Crowder mention it, and you might hear, if his channel stays up on YouTube, he's been finding it a lot longer than most people have, but many folks bigger channels are fighting it just as hard as someone like Steven Crowder. It's across the board. There is a war, I want to say a bigger war now than it has been. Let me phrase this much more historically out there for the folks at home that have made it this far in our broadcast. Back when recorded music first came out, this is back, I want to say, in the 1800s. I mean like the year 1801 to year 1899, when recordings of music came out. There was a war on these recordings in regards to books because recordings were considered new, or can be considered new media. This is new media. How dare they? It's going to put books and newspapers out of business. How dare they? There was, in essence, a war in regards to this new thing. And when radio came into play, radio's the new media. It's going to put records and newspapers and books out. So there's this whole new, how dare you? You shouldn't be listening to the radio. It's going to rot children's minds. It's the work of the devil. Don't you listen to... And what's happening now, because the internet is 24/7, it's more widespread, it's the inevitable gasoline on the fire, and you have the war from aspects of TV, radio, movies, newspapers going after, especially TV and radio. They're going after YouTube because that's where folks like you, PewDiePie even, or the person next door is able to go for new and different content, and the mainstream media doesn't like you going to that because they want their ratings and their money. So they develop these little bots, in some cases, that attach themselves to the algorithms to look for uploads that fit their, like, hey, this has our whether it's something that's illegal or legal. The bots don't know the difference between fair use or not. They just see this is our content. Therefore, we need to make money on it. So, and the only way you can combat that is, let's say, at the flea market, the punk rock flea market, we get something from Sin City Gamblers. I'd be like, guys, I respect you. I like what you've done in the past. I have the music. I listen to it every now and again now, but I used to listen to it all the time. And they said, we want you to have our music, to put in your videos. I'd be like, as much as I would love to do that, I'm not without a something that says I have permission from you guys that is notarized, because YouTube is going to say, hey, that could be from anybody, because we want to side with these major music companies to keep them happy, because that's what in essence YouTube is kind of doing right now, and which is also pissing off a lot of the the bulk of the YouTube, or I should say the 99% of the YouTube community, because what YouTube is doing is not just pandering to the Logan Pauls, they're pandering to Ellen, the CNNs, the Jimmy Kimmels, the CBS's, the official channels that want to put the official clips up on their channels and let them get money. But if you put up the same type of clip, meaning you have CNN on location talking about this event, that this dramatic event happened, and you being a YouTuber are there on the scene recording pretty much the same thing that they're recording, you put it up on YouTube. YouTube is going to either have you take it down, or if you're demonetized, they will demonetize that footage saying this violates our terms and service. Meanwhile, CNN's channel or the NBC Nightly News channel that has the same exact or similar footage, they're going to be allowed to keep it up. They're going to have their channel completely monetized. Even though the footage, according to YouTube, is against their terms and service, NBC is allowed to do it, Fox News is allowed to do it, CNN's allowed to do it, but you, the little YouTuber covering the story, is not allowed to do it because it violates their terms of service. And it's one of the things that a lot of YouTubers are angry about. It's like, well, we have these false flaggers coming in and claiming 4 seconds. It's only 4 seconds. What do they want? A nickel? It's hurting my channel. They're claiming 4 seconds, and they're earning, if someone like Omar Gosh, they claim something on his video. If he makes $50, $60 on that channel for that video, that money is going towards the person that's claiming the video, not Omar or Angry Joe. It's going to that claimant.
My question is, like, okay, what about people that do like music reaction videos? Like, how do they not get claimed?
They probably do get claimed, but they're not bitching about it. They're not, okay. Because when you have someone like you said you watch Magnus, Tyler Magnus. Someone like him might put up 5-6 videos a day in regards to reactions. So therefore, where 3 or 4 are still monetized, but that one gets claimed or demonetized, it's not hurting him that much because he has 4 other videos already up, and he's going to be posting up 4 more tomorrow. That's going to get 10,000, 100,000 views. So,
okay. And he's also selling merch too.
And yeah, he's selling merch. He's probably got a Patreon. So it's not going to hurt him that much.
In other words, you can't really like stop it, but you can mitigate it if you are more popular.
Right. It's one of the things that kind of frustrated me in regards to one person that kind of like, yeah, we have this book, like it's a free book, and I manage, and it's like, it's very difficult to download your book. And it's like, oh, you got to follow the examples. And the number one thing that says in this pamphlet of an ebook, had it in regards to making money on podcast or YouTube channel, be famous. Be famous. And that's what's frustrating for a lot of folks like myself. It's like, yeah, guess who's making money on... again, I have respect for the fellows. Like, yeah, guess who's making money on as a podcaster or as a YouTuber? Joe Rogan, Chris Hardwick, whoever decides to have a celebrity decides to have a podcast too. Christopher Titus. Who name five? If Gabriel Iglesias decides to have a podcast, guess what? They have instant 1,000 views or downloads every time, minimum.
YouTube used to be, and this is like, let's go back 10 years ago when we made that podcast. YouTube at the time was for the people,
right?
It was for little guys like you and me, just uploading like. I remember, what did I remember watching on there back in the day? Just like, it wasn't even what it is now. It was like little people doing little skits and stuff. And like, I remember there'd be music videos on there. And like, it wasn't much of anything. Like,
I know
like a lot of blogs, a lot of people talking. But
and like, the thing is, I remember you showing me, I won't say skits. It was like, you could call them skits if you want. There was this brother and, this one guy and his brother, but his brother had like Down syndrome or something like that.
Yeah.
And just I don't know if there's a valid channel now, but just that they were having a good time. His brother was having a good time, and go ahead.
Yeah, Ponce Man. He jokes on himself. He knows he has Down syndrome.
I'm just saying, back then these were probably big channels for their time, and especially folks like PewDiePie who grew their channels. Rob Gavin, who had to change his name because the YouTube algorithms didn't like the fact that his name was Rob Van Dyke or whatever it was, and there was, I think, his actual name. It was like, oh, Dyke means, it's a slur against lesbians. It's my name. And he had forced to go through the legal channels to change his name because of the whole YouTube algorithms.
Did you see that shit with Twitter now? What they're doing is like, even people that are reporting on stuff like that are getting strikes. Like if you're like you said, if your name happens to be like Rob Van Dyke, they'll put a strike against you on Twitter now because like it's a slur. Or like if you're a person who's like against Nazis and you put like something anti-Nazi and show Nazi imagery, they'll ban you because you put Nazi imagery on there.
And the thing is,
it's all eating itself. It's all just fucking eating itself because everybody's like greedy.
It's not just greedy. Everybody is, my feelings are hurt. So therefore I got to ban you on this platform. Strike
you and and demonetize you, and it's just like, good God, you can't do anything anymore.
And the thing is, Sasha was telling me that Ube Vol got banned off of Twitter. Why? No one knows. Just that he got banned off of Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, I didn't have any issues with the guy. He made bad movies, yes, but for crying out loud, and you look through his Twitter, it's like he didn't say anything wrong, but he got banned.
Yep.
And for no apparent reason. Like, really, what, there's been times, because we talk about Twitter, it's like, there's a few hashtags that podcasters like myself tend to use. Granted, over the past week, I should have been at least trying to promote more, but I've been, severe. I sound better, folks. That means I'm feeling better. Actually, feeling better. It is primarily allergies that I've been suffering from, and this time of year, my allergies present themselves as migraines. So I'm feeling much better, and one of the things on Twitter is that podcasters amongst ourselves could retweet so their fans could get a taste of other podcasts. I tend to do is that if you put in hashtag Podern Family, Podfix, Tripod, it's a way for creators to kind of promote other creators, and that way you retweet them, and if someone on your followers list wants to give them a listen, and gives them a chance to open up their horizons. And I've noticed over the past year or so, let's take Podern Family, it used to be like, I pick it up and I'd say, like, it could be at, like, right now, 6:30 at night, Eastern Standard Time. There'd be like 300-400 people using the hashtag. Now it's 30.
Yeah.
It's gone that far down over the past year.
That's the thing. It's like, I think if people, if they keep it up with this shit, like, people are just going to start abandoning these platforms.
And the thing is, I started to use, in regards to our show, when it was announced, it wasn't because their aspect of was
take a drink.
Take a drink. What they saw was like, hey, there's a lot of podcasters out there, women podcasts. Like, we have the guy who created the hashtag was like, we have no qualms with what these folks do, but they took up and they're running with lady podcasters, the hashtag lady podcasters or lady podcasting or whatever the heck it is. And I have no qualms with it. And it's like, what about the guys? We should get together and do something. The gals have something. We're giving them credit. Share if you want. We recommend you, if you see that hashtag, share them. Show them some support. But what about our guys? And that particular podcast said, how about Podfellas? And I was like, my initial reply was, I love this hashtag. I love this hashtag. I want to use this hashtag. And I'm like, you guys want to know why? Hey, Mafia-themed podcast here. I'm running with this. And big smiley face all over the place. And it's like, I'm done with this. I'm stealing it. So, and there was no hard feelings. It was just that camaraderie that decent podcasters, you see it. We see it with Jordan, Josh, us, when we get together with podcasting, there is that camaraderie, and YouTube just changes the algorithms almost on a daily, hourly basis. It is hard, and it's even harder you'll hear it later. I gotta record it when I put everything together later tonight. In regards to, I'll go into it now. It's going to be a little bit different. Basically, I was going to hijack the Chocolate Festival, but there was too much wind gust. It was gust winds up to about 20-30 miles an hour. I couldn't set anything up in the fear of it being blown off the table. I had to pretty much keep two hands on our sign to keep it from blowing over, and I wasn't using the big sign. I was using the narrow vinyl sign, and it was like, all right, I'm barely staying an hour out here. I can't promote it, and at that time, I could have said something. I was in the process of just taking everything down anyway. One of the council people who hates my ass, hates everything I do, she knows I'm vocal against everything that the town has done and the promotion committee has done, and she come up and she asked, "What's a podcast?" And this time she was the second person to come to the table. The first person was one of the owners that owns the coffee shop at where I was at, and he was inquisitive. He asked what we were doing, so forth and so on. Asked if we were on Stitcher because he uses Stitcher Radio a lot. I told him yes, and I explained the concept of our show, and he's down, and I don't know if he's going to check us out or listen, but if he does, I'm glad he does. But he was very friendly in regards to what we do and why we do it. But the councilwoman, again, who hates our ass, as a lot of you out there know, that we're not just hated amongst our peers in reference to what we do. We are hated. I am hated locally because I am very vocal in regards to our town, in regards to Martinsburg at least, and that she came on like podcast, or not what. what do you guys do? And so, well, I want to read your sign. And she said, you can't have that here. You have to take it down. You need a sign permit.
What?
A sign permit. Now, this is the part, even in the park. I went home. I looked up this sign permit. Now, here's the thing, folks. If she said I needed a vendor permit, now let me put it like this, a vendor permit, she would have had me, she would have honestly had me. And I would not have argued that point.
Right.
But again, I was in the process of taking everything, the banner stand down. And so I'm leaving anyway due to the wind. And if she said vendor permit, I would again given her the benefit of the doubt. But she said sign permit. Right. Now, let me bring it up on my phone because I have it on my better phone. I searched up sign permit or advertising permit for this Berkeley County, Martinsburg area because she said advertising permit. How she pronounced it, let me bring it up. Download. It was, she used the term, I needed a advertising permit for my sign. Now, I went up and I got it, my anxiety, I'm already miffed one. My anxiety is in hackles. I have a migraine because of fucking allergies. And so, therefore, I didn't sleep well at all last night. But I did look up when I got in with a better internet application, internet connection. I looked up advertising permit in regards to Martinsburg. I know how to use Google, and the person that approached me is over 60 years old. And let me put it like this. My waist is probably a higher number than her IQ. And she claims she's a councilwoman. The only thing I was able to find was a sign permit, an application for sign permit. And it says here in regards to the permit, it was a PDF, and I'm going to quote the article. Article 1761 of the Codified Ordinance of the City of Martinsburg requires all persons that should obtain a permit and pay fees before proceeding in any construction, subconstruction, enlargement, alteration, repair, or removal of any building or any other structure in the city. A person who shall commence in the construction, alteration, or repair of any construction portions thereof requiring building permit without first obtaining required permit shall pay double the cost for such permit if the permit is obtained within 48 hours of notification. Basically, the permit is for a sign like the Daily Grind or Blockbuster or Brewbakers. Or a billboard. That's what this permit is for.
Right. It's not a permanent structure.
Right. It's a banner stand. Again, if she said you need a vendor permit, I could have understood.
Right.
But she said sign permit.
It doesn't even come under I'm looking at it now too. It doesn't come even under any of the contractor information that you would have to have it for.
Right. And what I did is also when I got home, I didn't print up. I have still two very large, almost cardstock paper. It's used for things for school. Large pieces of paper. I put up. I don't have them in front of me. They're going to be. If I do choose to actively protest the next event, they're getting taped up on our banner, our vinyl banner, if there's no wind. One saying we will actively, if I remember correctly, how I worded, we here at the Long Coat Mafia podcast are peacefully protesting this event. And peacefully protesting is underlined. And the other one is we will continually peacefully protest events in Martinsburg until those in charge come on our show. It will be an open invite, and I will have this laptop and this single mic with me at all times. And if they want to whine, bitch, and complain, I pull out the offer stands. Give me 5 minutes. You will be on air. at that location, and I will hit as hard as Tim Cook hit on Joe Rogan with Twitter, if need be.
Tim Pool,
sorry. I will hit hard because they don't expect shit like that from me, and I will post it up as raw as possible. No edits, no cuts for that week if they do it next time. And the thing is, I'll tell her flat out.
I'm just looking at all the stuff through here, and I just can't figure out.
If I'm wrong, you're more than welcome to tell me wrong.
You're not wrong, because I'm looking through all the different stuff. Like, okay, the only thing that anything applies to is like political signs aren't allowed on state property. Let's see, which includes right-of-way and road signs.
Now you've seen that park. Where I was nowhere would impede roadway. I was at one of the tables, which was in the far corner. If I see her again, it's like, well, at most you could get me for vending, but right now I have protest signs up.
I would tell her to get a police officer the next time you do it. Be like, go get a police officer and have him tell me what I'm violating before I do anything.
Yeah.
Because you have a right. You can put up a sign if you want to.
It's using the banner stands that I purchased, which is similar to the banner stands we used at Forest State last year.
What I would advise you not to do would affix it to property that's not yours. If it's freestanding on public property, you're not hurting anything.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's not like I'm embedding anything into soil. These are banner stands, again, similar to the banner stand we used at Forest State.
Yeah,
so
you're there representing yourself.
And it's not political the sign in no way is in political in nature. And if I masking tape the signs over our sign, hey, we're peacefully protesting, and underline, I am not approaching anybody. I'm here quietly. You approached me. That's number one. Number two, yes, I'm welcoming you on show. So what we talk about on the show is completely open up. We're not talking political. We're not talking Republicans against Democrats. We're not talking one side or the other. We're talking about city promotion. That's not political.
Nope.
What are you doing to bring more people in? We're doing an event. What are your plans? It's not political. I'm not talking about your campaign. I'm not talking about will you be running next year or anything like that. I'm talking about your current things in regards to plans. It's not political. It's how you treat the town. Signs are not political. They're freestanding, as you said. And it's like, bring a copier. If he wants to deem that I need a vendor permit, then fine. And he wants me to close up shop, I'll close up shop. And I'll tell her flat out, if you're too coward, if anything, you're too upset that it's not attached, it's not anything like that. I'm here quietly, and if anything, if there was no wind, and I was in the process of concentrating of keeping everything standing due to the wind, I would have probably told her. I don't think I would have pulled out my phone and did what I did at home. Pulled up the ordinance because she said I'm a councilwoman. Well, I got Google. Google outweighs you. If anything, the only thing I'm saying is regards to making something a permanent structure on property. This is not a permanent structure. You would have me under vendor permit laws, but not anything. I am not bugging anybody that is.
Technically, they wouldn't even have you under vendor permit because you're not selling anything.
Well, I'm
You're not out there with a tax ID collecting money. Therefore, all you're doing is you're representing yourself in a public space.
That could be a further argument. I could tell. It's like, listen, if by stretch you could have me under vendor permit, but one, I am not selling anything. And in regards to your sign ordinance, anything that is there is regards to political in nature, which is not shown on the sign. 2, the other sign is not permanent. It is temporary. It's not affixed to anything but itself. It is my stuff. 3, again, I don't make any money on this. I am not any big time show person. 3, if anything, the people that are attending your event, which I am not blocking in any right of way, which means I'm not impeding anybody going into that business. I am not telling anybody to not go in there. As a matter of fact, I'm telling people there is something going on inside. I am telling people that, hey, there is an author inside, check them out, and buy their coffee while you're there. And you know what? I'm actually helping your event, because no one knows this place has anything. Because no one's going to know. They're going from the library across the street. They're not coming here. So my little dark purple sign that was gracefully and gracious, made with, I don't want to say love, made with talent by Fast Signs, is bringing people to this location at all. So anything I'm advertising, your shit.
All right. Let's say, think of it like, I don't know, like somebody ringing a bell for Salvation Army, or like a nativity scene. Like you don't have to have anything for that.
No, and if anything, it's if they did, one of the things I'd be bringing up is the aspect of,
or like, okay, you think of it like a yard sale sign too.
It's like, yeah,
like you don't have to have a permit for a yard sale sign.
That's probably what I tell her too. It's like,
not where I'm from. Like here, there are regulations for certain areas in Winchester. Like you cannot erect yard sale signs in the Meadow Branch area because it's considered a private community. But like where you're erecting your stand at, it's freestanding. You're not affixing it to a pole. You're not taping it to a wall that's not yours. You're putting it on a public sidewalk or a public grassland. And you're basically representing yourself. You're not selling anything. It's just an announcement of what you're doing. It has nothing to do with like buying anything. It has nothing to do with, it's pretty much just like, hi, I'm here.
And the thing is, I tell her, it's like, listen, but if I ever make it to a yard sale that you're doing, I'll be the first person to ask for your business license and your tax ID number. Well, you don't need. Well, you're asking me for a sign permit or a vendor permit that does not cover what I am doing. What I'm doing is an announcement for it. What you want, as we've both seen, the permit is for billboards and business signs. This is not a business. This is not Daily Grind. This is not Habaneros. This is not any of the businesses here in town. This is not a billboard. It's not political. It does not fall under city and state ordinances for as what you require. And as for vendor, again, I'm not making any money. I'm not asking any money. I don't have anything that says tips. I am just letting folks know I'm here.
That is just simply somebody misinterpreting the law. That's all it is. Either she didn't like what you're doing, she didn't like you standing there, it made them look bad, or she thought it made them look bad or something, and she was just basically trying to swing her invisible dick around. That's all it was. Like I said, next time, what you can always do, and that's what they're there for, is say, could you call a policeman over and have them explain to me what I'm doing wrong? Because they're going to be the ones that are going to interpret the law to her. If it's something where like you guys come to conclusion like she simply just doesn't want you standing there, she's going to have to prove why. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and as you say, you're right. And something like, hey, officer, in regards to this, I'm not approaching anybody with flyers. I'm not imposing anybody. But if somebody like yourself, officer, comes up to me and asks what I am about and what the show is about, I'd be more than obligated and kindly and respectfully let you know what we're about. But I'm not approaching saying here's a flyer here, or nor am I impeding the event that's happening. As a matter of fact, if somebody came up and asked me, is this the business that is on the card with this author, are they open? In my eyes, I would be pretty much saying, yes it is, go ahead inside and enjoy what they have to offer. I am not in any way, shape, or form putting down the business, putting down what they are doing.
But here's the thing. Following this altercation, or any altercations in the in the future that would be you explaining to this woman that, you have the right to be there, I guarantee you she brings it up before the council and they make an amendment to where you can't be there. I guarantee that. Because that's what they did here. There was a lot of people handing out oh, come on, really? There's a lot of people handing out flyers. Well, you remember this. Remember when the racist guys were handing out flyers here in town?
I think so.
And it was around Apple Blossom time.
Oh, yeah, we were going to do a throwdown with those folks.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And the thing was, like, who was it? Jim Gaynor? One of the people on the town council here got wind of it, what was going to happen, and because the guy was handing out flyers in the downtown area for like 2 days prior, announcing a white supremacist neo-Nazi rally that was supposed to. It was ridiculous. They were trying to challenge like the Hispanic festival. It's like really business. And so, what the town council did, they the meeting, and basically it affected everybody, but it got this guy arrested. They basically passed a law that you're not to hand out handbills, flyers, or any kind of like excuse me, handbills, flyers, or any kind of literature downtown without prior approval and application for a permit. And what they got him on is they got him on handing out flyers.
Now, with someone like that, it's one thing, if in most cases, I'm sure with what they got him on is that he caused a fuss and a ruckus in regards to probably what happened was when the cop said, you guys knocked that off, he probably got agitated and told him to, or I should say words were probably involved, and that caused him.
They got him on the flyers thing. That's what they got him for.
They just arrested him on the flyers? They didn't
arrest him. They got him for distributing like something like hate material or something ridiculous.
But and I think in my case, that if anything, the officer would come up to me like, "Yeah, you need a permit for that. They just released it. You gotta, you gotta move along."
And the worst case scenario, you know what he would do? He'd be like, if he wasn't sure or he didn't know the law, he'd be like, "Well, just for now, I need you to move along."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If anything, it's like, you gotta. He'll probably give me a warning. He or she will probably give me a warning, tell me not to do it again, and
But this guy, and I hate to go back on him, but this guy in particular, this guy was a real asshole. I think he had been doing other stuff, and I think they might have nabbed him for something else too. But I know the flyers were like really nasty in particular, because the one that I think I saw, I can't remember. It's been so long. I mean, this is probably like what, 10 years ago as well, at least.
So, a little bit more than that, because this was...
It was podcast?
I want to say 2005, maybe 2006.
Yeah.
No, 2005, I want to say it was Drunken Halo. And 2006, it had to be 2006, because 2006 was the Danger Tab, and that was the same year.
That was the same day, because that's what we did instead.
Right.
That's what we did instead, because they never showed.
Right. That was and we just got hired. It was around the time we got hired for Cisco, and we were in that whole aspect. So it was around the Danger Tab. So it had to be 2006. About this time, 2006. So it was over 10 years ago. So and my God, the whole Danger Tab, crap. The fact that Danger Tab and Drunken Halo is still part of our lives, and is kind of a especially Drunken Halo is part of at least my life. It's like, what are you going to do tonight? Well, I got some alcohol, maybe some Drunken Halo or drunken video gaming.
That guy that we were hanging out with, that we used to, I don't know, did we used to work with him, or what was he? What did he always get thrown out of the bar for?
Oh, for Drunken Halo?
Because remember we went to Cork Street and the parade was going on, and like he kept making some noise or something weird. I can't remember what it was, and it was that one girl that I knew, Stephanie or whatever. And she was the bartender, and she threw him out of the bar because he kept making some noise.
Yeah, we were at, I think at that time, Cork Street.
Yeah.
And
do you remember?
No idea. I will say this. As much as the only thing I remember about that, one, it was Apple Blossom. Two, I left roughly when he was kind of threatening, doing his, I don't know what he was saying. Yeah. But I do remember I was significantly toasted.
Yeah.
I can't drive I made it home fine, toasted. I had a minor lisp to one side or the other, and I had my Jay and Silent Bob shirt on. Where that shirt is, I don't know, but I had.
I think I continued to get more and more drunk that day.
Yeah, that was before you met the missus, and
yeah. I think that was a legendary drunk episode, because that was like, I think that was the day that I went back downtown and I started doing shots with this girl I knew, and I didn't pay for him. I made her boyfriend pay for him, and I walked out. And then I got told I couldn't go into Coley Harry's. That's how long ago that was. I wasn't allowed to go into Coley Harry's because I was too drunk. And then I walked up the street to a party, and I remember having a beer chugging contest with this old bum guy. And I won, and he was super impressed or some shit. And then, like, I remember I got called a drunk magician because I kept pulling beers out of places in my pants and in my hat and stuff. And, like, they were like, where are they coming from? And I was like, oh, I'm a drunk magician. And then I slept in my van.
The only time I got almost that drunk was March. I just moved to Martinsburg, and now, between folks, we shared the story before. I think we shared the story before. Between that point and 2006, it was again 2006, as me and Big Candy stated, we were going to have this throwdown with this racist freaking bastard. But he got arrested, or it didn't happen. We went to Piccadilly Pub. We got in before they were kind of, I think, having to charge admission or have a cover charge. We made it in just in time, if my memory serves. And I think the reason we went is because maybe a week or so before we went in, and we decided, no, it could have been in around, what happened was we went either before or later than that, and we got cheese sticks in a metal bucket. Yeah. So the cheese sticks in the metal bucket was either before this incident or after. I can't remember the time frame. I just remember us going there and, having some beers and cheese sticks in the metal bucket. But I want to say it was before this incident. So we went went back to Piccadilly Pub. We got in, and let's have some beers and, have a good time. Next thing I know, I'm not even halfway through my beer, and all of a sudden, new beer. And I look at you and like, I didn't order this. Why is it? Why do I have new beer? And you were like, shut. Don't just play along. Just nothing. And it wasn't until after the dude, I was like the whole, at him, like the bartender saying to this dude, I think he was like you told me he was like a real estate agent or something like that, and they were having the shindig in the big room above, and they just came down, and this guy says, the bartender's like, okay, I'll start the tab. What name do you want this tab under? And the guy just drunkenly says, the Danger tab. And I think both of us had like additional 2 or 3 drinks after it. I think I might have had to pay for 2 beers and a soda, but we had like, both of us were significantly toasted by the time we left. And it's like, I think at one point I had to get up and use the men's room, and I was like, I think I can make it. Get up. Oh, legs don't work.
Hey,
it's like,
I remember there was one other time that we got, it might be as wasted, or if not more, was that time that we went down to the Union Jack.
Yeah.
And we started drinking Delirium Nocturnum and all that. We were just trying all these weirdo beers.
Yeah, is the Union Jack still open?
Yeah.
Now, that be the case. It's when the Union Jack just opened, and I think we heard that they had this beer list, and it wasn't just like a wine menu; it was a beer menu, and we're like, it
was like 40 on tap or something
like that. And I think they still have that number on tap, plus other beers from across the country and world, either in bottle form one way or another. And we're like, oh, that's horse shit. We gotta check this out. This is advertising horse. Sure as shit, they weren't lying. And they're like, we decided to have these beers that were at minimum starting out 11%, 12%, and we had like, we can handle it. And all of a sudden, no, we can't.
What I remember of that, I remember falling asleep on the roof of the auto park. I remember laying flat on my back, falling asleep on the roof of the auto park.
I think
I was gone.
I think what pushed me over the line past that, besides the whole beer fest and beer tasting incident a year after the drunken.
That's when I tackled Crystal.
Partially, I want to blame Crystal for that one, because I can't really say blame Crystal for that, because folks know this was a wonderful beer festival. The first one I ever went to, and we paid like $20 to get in. We were given a glass and 10 drink tickets apiece, which is, I think, standard. Crystal mentioned that she was our designated driver, but because of that, they charged her like $10, but they gave her a glass and 10 drink tickets.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not going to... Crystal being Crystal, I'm not going to... I'm saying that with all niceness ever, that Crystal is a very sweet woman. Please don't kick my ass. But honestly, she is a very sweet woman. And she can be a very mama bear. I'm going to say that like that, and I'm sure Big Candy could attest to that. But she splits the drink tickets, 5, and it gives 5 to me and 5 to Big Candy. And both of us, I don't think we made it past drink 12. And we were toasted. But the one that pushed me...
I still had the picture of me sticking my head out the window in the rainstorm.
Oh, I do. It's somewhere, I think, online. I think I might have put it on Facebook, too.
You can find it. That'd be hilarious. Because it was, I think it was on MySpace, is why I don't have it anymore.
And the thing is, what happened after is, when I moved here to Martinsburg from the place in Inwood, I decided to go out. I was off that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I decided, you know what? I'm going to do a pub crawl. I'm going to go down to Winchester and do a pub crawl. I'm going to have dinner at Brewbaker's and work my way to Carolinas, Sweet Carolines. This is before everything changed. And
now it's the 50-50 tap house.
Right. And I made it as far as I started at Brewbaker's, had my atypical, which I still love, the chicken tenders meal with the honey butter butter. Oh, that's crack. And I had a dark and tan, and I made it to Union Jack was my next stop, and that's where I stayed until about 2 o'clock in the morning, because I met Greg Blaney. And I haven't seen this gentleman in at that point in over a year. And he was I was talking to him and some of his friends, and Union Jack being Union Jack, I got toasted. At one point, I think it might have been close to like 11:30 or midnight. Blaney has this. Now, they didn't have like a 12 ounce or 20 ounce glass. This was a stein. This had to be like a quart, not a quart size, a half-gallon size cup that Blaney was drinking Yingling out of. Good beer, by the way. And I pointed to the barkeep and I went, I'll have what he's having. Now, I'm already 3 sheets, 2.5, 3 sheets to the wind. This puts me over the top. So I was significantly drunk. I finished the beer. I wait about an hour. I'm starting to feel, as most folks who have been in this situation, you feel a little bit better. You don't feel as drunk. And what happens is, last call. Okay, I'm going to try that hard cider that they had. Bad idea. Because I don't feel that drunk bad anymore. I'll have that. And I drink that, and I go back from, I'm feeling I could probably drive home to, I'm going to have to walk this off.
Game
over. And that was my thought process. I'm going to have to walk this off. So I do a lap around the open air Winchester Mall, not the outer loop, where the actual open air mall is, from Cork Street to where I was parked by the library, and I realized I'm not going to be able to walk this shit off. I'm too drunk. And at least I had the rationing in my head that if I'm too drunk standing on my feet, I am too drunk to drive.
Oh, yes.
So I decided, because I was working graveyard shift, I had at least a rolled up towel that I was using as a pillow, kind of like substitute as a pillow for my neck. I had the keys in my ignition long enough to power down my window a good maybe ½ inch to an inch. Took out the key, put it inside the center console compartment, leaned back my chair, and passed out until maybe about 7 a.m. Now, 5 hours later, at least, you'd think I'd be sober. No, I was still buzzed at 7 a.m. I was that buzzed still. I was like, oh shit. But I was at the point that I think I'm able to at least at this point, drive safely. So I made it to Sheetz, which is for the folks that might be listening in other areas that don't have a Sheetz. Think Circle K or 7-Eleven. They got myself like a breakfast burrito and something to drink, used their bathroom, and made it to the sheets that I made it to was where the new some folks in Winchester and Big Candy can attest to this. The new Target and which is the one that's on Route 11, exit I think 3.
Yeah, Rutherford Crossing.
Right.
It's where I work now. Well, not at the Target, but in that area.
But I went to that parking lot and slept another hour and a half, and then finally made it home, because at that point I was even less drunk. I was more sober than I was buzzed, and I was not. My stomach was not feeling right. I was like, oh, this is bad. This is bad.
Oh boy! And we haven't done that in a while. I'll get you back down here for some of those chicken tenders though over at the Brewbakers.
And the thing is, I came close. I wouldn't say close to that, but I was very toasted this past. I think a little bit. You could see it a little bit this past year. The video I think is on both our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. Is kind of like the when we had the beer fest here in Martinsburg. Yeah. I was toasted. I was wonderfully toasted.
Oh, yeah, he's gone.
And the thing is, I had the 10 drink tickets, and somebody was like, "Oh, here's a few more," and I pulled out. I was like, "Oh, I got 3 left," and the guy was like, "No, you got 3 more, and besides, here's another one." Oh shit!
Me at the DC 101 chili cook-off back in the day. I went there. Who did I go to see? I want to say like Goo Goo Dolls or some ridiculous band. Anyway, so I went there and like they were like on, way at the end of the day. So I'm sitting there through all this bad music all day, and all I want to do is drink because I'm like, I just want to get drunk. So through 10 tickets, then people leaving, they're like, here, have some tickets, and like more people like passed out. Oh look, tickets on the ground. I think all in all, I probably had 16, 17 beers or something like that. And I was good going. So much so that I was pissing in public.
I was toasted, but I wasn't that bad. I was like, thank God, I'm not driving. And where I was just
like, where they had it was like in downtown DC, but they like blocked off a bunch of streets and put like a chain link fence around it. But the bathroom line was so long that like waiting, you'd literally piss your pants. So I said, fuck it, in my drunk talk, and I walked down to just some area, and I remember there was people walking down the street, and I just hung my little thing through the fence and just went, and the lady was like, oh my God, and I'm like, hi. How'd it go? Sorry. Watch out for a puddle.
and it's fun. It's like there were a lot of good beers at the beer fest. That it was small, not as big as the one at we went to, but
you and I can both agree when we went to that one Heineken, we dumped out on the ground right in front of them. We were like, ew, it's skunky.
And folks at home, for those who are new to the beer world, even though you might have your favorite brand, but when you're visiting other people, your favorite brand is free and cold. So,
right.
And if I'm in the mood for beer and somebody offers me a Heineken, I'll take it under protest. So
I don't like this, but I'm gonna. You know what I didn't think I liked, but I actually like is Michelob Ultra Gold. It's really good. It doesn't taste like anything, but it's really good.
Now that's the wrong home.
But I think we better wrap it up. It's been 3 hours.
It's been 3 hours and change, so this is going to be a long episode, folks. And I'm going to leave it up because trimming any of the dead spots is going to be futile. So, see you guys next week, and stay tuned for the after show rhetoric out there that I do in all aspect. Take the drink. So, take it. So, any last words, Big Candy?
Avenge me!
Avenge me, blunt knight! And we're back. So I hope you enjoyed this week's program. If you wish to join in the conversation, as always, you could email the show by sending that email to longcoatmafia@gmail.com or sending us a message on Facebook, because our Facebook page is facebook.com/The Longcoat Mafia Podcast. And, or if you want, if you're primarily using Twitter, you could send us a DM or at us on Twitter. Our handle is Longcoat Mafia. If you want to follow us on Instagram as well and see where we're at, what we're doing, and maybe see sometimes the crazy memes that I tend to put up, or weird memes that I tend to put up, or what we're currently doing or at in regards to events and other activities we are part of. You could follow us on Instagram. Our handle there is Longcoat Mafia. And we do have a Mixer channel. The Mixer channel is mixer.com/LCMP. We changed a few settings on there, so if we're not streaming, there should be at least one or two posts up there of what we have been streaming in regards to that. Our Twitch stream is twitch.tv/Longcoat Mafia Pod. And again, same thing. If we're not alternating, I'm going to be trying to alternate between Mixer and Twitch. I will try to announce on Twitter, if not on Facebook. That way it also goes to our Twitter page, that in regards to which service I'll be streaming on. If I get more of a reaction on Mixer, I'll stick with Mixer. If I get more reaction on Twitch, I'll stick with Twitch though. And what else? We do have a YouTube channel. We don't have that many subscribers as of yet. We still have a long way to go before being able to change the channel name to Longcoat Mafia Pod. But if you want to, just search up Longcoat Mafia, and I should stand corrected there, Longcoat Mafia Podcast to be more specific, and our channel would be right near the top of the list. And right next to that should be that little subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Do not worry about the bell, because why? YouTube changes the goalposts every now and again. So, like I always say, please also go to our Facebook page, click the like button there, because even though Facebook themselves changes that goalposts all the time too, you have a better chance of seeing our posts, seeing any exclusive Facebook videos we post up, more than you would on YouTube. But we do primarily put a lot of long form videos on YouTube. So if you want, subscribe to both. That way you have a better chance of experiencing all of our content. So, as per finding our podcasts, if you're listening to us on your desktop or laptop and you wish to listen to us on the go, we are available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and the Podbean app, as well as where other podcasts are found in regards to podcast catching apps. But I do recommend getting us on or using the Podbean app, or having it handy on your mobile device, just in case Apple Podcasts or Google Play tends to be finicky and you're not able, for whatever reason, get our latest episode, because there's been times Apple Podcasts unsubscribes people or seemingly can't find podcasts for whatever reason. That way you have the ability to listen to our latest episode at your leisure as a backup. Now, if you prefer to listen to us on a desktop or a laptop device, you could easily do so by using the most common method, which is, well, iTunes. iTunes is available for your Windows PC computer as well as your Mac. But if you're one of those people that hates iTunes and hates the aspect of using anything Apple, you can always get it off our main website, which is thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com. And while there, you're able to download any one of our many episodes going back straight to our cringeworthy beginnings. That's right, episode 1 and kind of all the way to our current episode, which is this episode right here. And, well, after a week it will not be our current episode, but I digress. We are also available on Stitcher Radio, so you're able to stream us on that particular service, as well as Spotify. But speaking to in regards to our main website, which again is thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com, you're able to not just download any one of our past episodes, you can also stream that episode on your laptop or desktop device. Now, as you probably heard me talk about YouTube, if you do not prefer to listen to us through Podbean, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, or what have you, but you rather have us playing on something else, I do recommend YouTube. The majority of our episodes are on YouTube as well, and I swear to you, I'll be trying to put up more video content for all of you out there that prefer that, but you're able to listen to a sizable chunk of our past episodes on YouTube. But for the exception of last week's episode, which we had a copyright claim put on it, and we had to remove the video. So, until we get a few things adjusted so all our episodes are able to be on YouTube, you're still able to listen to all our content through the various means to get our audio broadcast, which is iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and our main website. Again, you feel free to join in the conversation by emailing us or DMing us. We have loads of events that we're going to be at, which we mentioned on our show. Let's see, what else? There's a lot of things in the pike that we are kind of planning. Whether or not they come to fruition, I don't know. A lot of things in the pike. So stick with us, see what happens. Will I or won't I come down with kind of podcast fatigue? I don't know. That's something I'll have to see by the end of the year, but hopefully not. This has been one hell of a ride, close to 4 years. So stick with us. It was sad last week to break the streak of 2 years straight without having to use a classic episode. So again, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see all of you next week. And who knows what next week brings? The shadow knows. I should say the shadow knows. So stick with us. Stick with us.
You've been listening to the Longcoat Mafia Podcast, the internet's most hated and mafia-themed geek podcast.